Do you like that? Instead of the rock start, we'll go with the feeding the ducks, courtesy
like
of
this-
StreamYard.
Kind of sounds like the season's over after a big giant win. And I'm sleepy.
Hey, look, Gabe and Farhan had a good plan. Things didn't work out. Guys got hurt. The DL was used. The team wasn't deep enough. I mean, guys, at the end of the year, the Dodgers and the Padres and the Diamondbacks and the Rockies were all just better.
Frank, you look a really slow free.
They were all just better. And even though
The Rockies
and the Giants, pitching wins and the Giants have the arms, something tells me it may not work out. All right. No, welcome to the Krueg Show. Let's get back to our regular music here. Here we go. All right, there we go. All right. Welcome to the Krueg Show after a stellar Warrior game. Oh my goodness, Klay Thompson went off. It was awesome to see. Warriors had to go without Steph Curry and will have to go without Steph Curry for the foreseeable future. But man, somebody you knew had to step up, and it was Klay Thompson. Oh my goodness, Klay Thompson, 42, and he just had it going. And there's just a feeling when Klay's got it going in the building. And I was there when he had 37 in the third quarter against the Sacramento Kings years ago. When Klay gets hot, there's an electricity about the thing that takes it to another level. He was hot tonight, and they put away the Thunder 141-114 in a game that it wasn't as close as that score indicated, because Golden State really kind of put it away. And welcome to the Krueg Show. Dan Coach Emilio on the bottom, Ryan Smith wearing the jersey backwards on the top box, and of course Frank Red,
not washed in the front.
Frank Red on the bottom of the screen. And we should tell people that we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. 2 locations: Emeryville, Corte Madera. Best barbecue in the Bay. Check it out. Damon and Mary have a great restaurant. They work at it. Get the brisket, and the brisket chili is absolutely incredible. And the potato chips are the best potato chip you're ever going to have. So I always go potato salad. I like to mix in a root beer every now and then. I'll tell you, I'll throw a little root beer, and it's really good. So Pig and a Pickle, check them out online, pigandapickle.com. Also, they're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Really cool spot there in the public marketplace. And then 7 days a week in Corte Madera, right there in the mall. So thanks to Damon and Pig and a Pickle for being proud sponsors of the Krueg Show. All right.
Yeah, all that talk about Pig and the Pickle this past week, I was inspired. I was at Costco tonight.
Put your pickle in a pig?
And since I'm in Arizona, we don't have...
Oh, this show is already off to a racy start.
Oh, man. Since we don't have...
Danny, your lighting looks so much better.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Really, your lighting is
so
tremendous.
We didn't have Pig and a Pickle down here, so I bought me a big 16-pound pork shoulder tonight.
Ooh.
And we're going to put that thing in
16 pounds?
Yeah. We're going to put that thing...
It's you and your wife.
Well, we're going to have some friends over this weekend.
How many?
A dozen or so. So
okay.
we got Super Bowl. We're gonna end up
Super Bowl. 16 pounds.
We're gonna put that baby in the crock pot, and we're gonna make pulled pork sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
hey, Danny, here's the key: slow and low.
Yep, slow and low.
Slow and low.
Yep, keep it on low
for a long period of time.
Yeah, we do. I would say like 8 hours or something like that.
I would say at least. For that much pork, you might want to go 10 hours.
Oh yeah, I think we're going to cut it in half though because of the crock pot, and then we'll. But we've had this recipe like we made it like 4 times over the last year or two. It's unbelievable. Oh,
Corey says the entire HOA has got to show
some
up.
Worcestershire sauce in there, and it's a little bit of mustard, and then barbecue, tiny little bit of apple cider vinegar. Oh man, I'll have to pull the recipe out for later when we get into this. So, yeah.
Anyway. Sam Gell, by the way, that was unreal tonight. Go Klay. Yeah, Klay. Guys, how fun. Let's just go around the room. I mean, amazing night. Obviously, the Warriors have got to get it going. We all know it. We talked about it the other night. I mean, now Steph's hurt. for the first time all year, they're like challenged with, hey guys, we got the fork in the road. We can either rise up, get better, make a run and defend this title and, or we can just drift away. We didn't have Steph and things just kind of fell apart. And there's enough talent on this team to win. And God knows there's enough coaching talent, player talent. There's enough, even without Steph, to win a lot of games. So I thought it was great. Klay Thompson, who's been playing very well as of late, took it to another level. He was simply phenomenal tonight. The first half, Klay had 29. He hit 7 threes. He only took 9, 7 of 9. 10 of 14 from the field shooting the ball for the first half. Second half, for the game, he was 15 of 22, finished with 42, and he took 16 threes. He made 12. Amazing. Guy is really fun to watch. Red, what'd you think?
It's like watching a movie, man. It was beautiful. It's like watching the Blues Brothers. I know I'm dating myself a little bit, but
Belushi and Aykroyd, all right.
Yeah,
we're on a mission from God.
Or either Harrison Ford with The Fugitive or something like that.
Oh, I love some Fugitive.
But just a beautiful performance. I mean, because we've seen Klay do these Game 6 Klay type things, we just get excited because we know what the possibilities are. But it was a great win for the Warriors because they started off slow. The first quarter was kind of tough defensively, but they had it flowing tonight. I think I was most impressed with Andrew Wiggins plus 25 because sometimes he looks a little disengaged. But when you think about the Warriors being successful far into the playoffs, he's going to be the guy checking their best guard, their best forward. And he looked like that defensive stopper tonight that they need to win games against tough teams. But Klay was phenomenal. He was awesome.
Yeah, I think Klay was listening to a little bit of sports media on the tube today because the talk, I can't remember who was talking about it, but they were talking about all the teams now with Kyrie, with the Mavs. Oh, is that the best two now, or is it the Lakers, or is it the Denver with Jokic and Murray, or is it Kawhi and
Paul
George and George.
Yeah.
And they're going off and they didn't name the Warriors at all. Didn't say the Warriors, like they're down to only Steph. And I think that kind of, if Klay starts feeling that, man, look out because they're the original dynamic duo. And if Klay plays like he's playing lately and tonight, and I have no worries about Steph. I'm actually feeling like it's kind of a blessing in disguise type thing because he'll be out for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They'll be fine without him. And when he comes back, those legs are going to be fresh and he's going to be March. He'll come back first part of March, maybe late Feb, and off to the races, just like last year.
By the way, DJ Venus has invited himself to your house. You see that there. 60 pounds of pork. I'm there, Danny.
You want to see this big bad boy? I can pull this baby out of the fridge. It's big.
Mitchell and Ness with the good cooking advice. Slow and low.
Yeah, definitely low.
Corey Cooper, very good back-to-back games for Wiseman Trade Showcase.
Oh, my God, I know.
What do you guys think? Are we going to see James Wiseman moved? Are the Warriors going to make a trade? Do you think, one of the things that Cyrus is going to join us in a bit as well. He retweeted a report tonight that says that the Jazz are likely to trade Jared Vanderbilt before the trade deadline. They've got multiple offers lined up for him. They have an offer for Vanderbilt from a Western Conference team that would net them multiple second-round picks. Size like, hey, man, if all it takes is 2 number 2s to get Jared Vanderbilt, go do that. And I agree with Cy. I think Vanderbilt is exactly – this team needs another tough guy, enforcer personality. That's what I think they need. And we've talked about all these different things. They need size. They need shooting. They need somebody – I mean, I like Sadiq Bey and Nerlens Noel. I've said that over and over again. If they could make that trade, I'd make it. But they need somebody like a Vanderbilt or a Jay Crowder, somebody who brings a little swagger, a little toughness, a little edge. It can't be all Draymond. I was expecting James Wiseman to give them that. To date, it hasn't happened. Maybe he'll give him that when he gets in there. Maybe he won't. But a guy like Vanderbilt would really be nice. I mean, that's the kind of piece that if Bob Myers was asking me, I'd say, yeah, get me somebody like that who can add a little toughness, a little rebounding, a little length, a little defense, a little bit more teeth to your team on the defensive end of the floor. And I think Vanderbilt's perfect. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But are you guys hearing anything trade deadline wise today? Obviously, we saw the big Kyrie trade.
I haven't heard anything beyond, everybody talking about Kyrie, but just to talk about Vanderbilt, he's one of the best utility guys in the NBA. He doesn't make a whole lot of money. He's young. He's really engaged. He's active. I would welcome him coming to the Warriors because he would take some of that responsibility from Draymond. And I think he'd be excited to be on a winner. So if they could find a way to get him, I think he'd be a welcome addition.
What do you think, Ryan? Do you like? Do you think Golden State gets anything done? Tyable, Vanderbilt. I did a video earlier today on the buyout market, and I love the options for Golden State in the buyout market. If when you look closely, they're saying maybe Plumlee, Serge Ibaka, maybe Terrence Ross, maybe Nerlens Noel. The other name that I really liked in the buyout market speculation was Chris Dunn. I would take I'd take a chance on Chris Dunn and see if I could turn Chris Dunn into GP2 for cheap.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Chris Dunn is a 6'4", 6'5", long arm point guard with defensive shutdown capability in the right situation. I don't know. To me, I've always liked the way he looks as a defensive player. It just depends on what you think they need. And especially, and does it change now that Steph's out for an extended period of time and they're going to have to pick up without him? Does that make you more or less likely to make a deal if you're Bob Myers?
I think they're okay at guard. I really do. You got Poole.
DiVincenzo was great tonight.
Poole, DiVincenzo, Klay, and you got Jerome. And that's four deep right there. I think that's enough to get them through this. And Kuminga can even play back there if they need him,
Yeah, I would like another guard, but that means that, you got Ryan, the rookie that they have a guaranteed contract on.
Well, he's out.
He's done for the year. Did you see that today?
No, I didn't see it.
Foot surgery.
Really?
Yeah,
done
Jones
for the
fracture.
year with, what is it? Foot problem? Same foot problem he had?
Jones fracture, they call it.
So let me ask you a
Jones
question.
fracture.
When somebody's out for the year, do you get to add another 15th player? Another player? I don't know how that works.
I don't think so. You'd have to release him.
Yeah, exactly. So I would like to see another defensive oriented guard that you're talking about, Larry. But they're up against the numbers. That's the problem with them.
Well, and maybe there's some athletic person in the G League that they could pick off from, and who knows? I don't know. It's just, that's why you have big time scouts. G Code says great 4-day Bay News, Klay 42, and Chris Kocherik. Oh yeah, Chris Kocherik is staying. By the way, a bunch of Niner topics today. Chris Kocherik is going to stay, but not as the defensive coordinator, so he's not leaving. Steve Wilkes interviewed today with the 49ers to be their defensive coordinator. There's a report coming out today from Matt Mayoko, and I don't know if he's just parroting what the team is hoping for, but it sounds like, and I'm not trying to insult Matty in any way. I have nothing but respect for Matty, but I don't know if I don't know if he has a source and he's reporting something new or if it's just kind of reporting what's already been stated. But he had a thing on NBC Sports Bay Area that said that signs continue to point towards surgery for Purdy that involves a 6-month buildup towards returning to action. So basically exactly what Kyle Shanahan described in their end of the year press conference. So the alternative, I guess, was full elbow Tommy John reconstruction, 12-month, 18-month.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if this is true, and we don't even know because this doesn't sound like official, but Maddie's obviously a good reporter. that's great news for the 49ers. That means that Brock Purdy could be throwing by training camp, and Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, is that the vision for next summer? We're going to find out here in
I think it is, because it makes the most sense with a third quarterback being a veteran, like say a Dalton or a Brissett or something like that.
I'll tell you what I would like is if they're going to keep both young guys. I loved watching this weekend. I loved Malik Cunningham from Louisville, they make the Lamar Jackson comparisons, but Lamar was 6'3" and this guy's more like 6'1", but threw the ball well. I saw he was in 2 of the different All-Star games, and he had to leave the second half with an injury in the Senior Bowl. But Malik Cunningham is got a good arm, pretty accurate, and can really run and break tackles. And he's interesting. I mean, you could wind up taking Malik Cunningham anywhere at the beginning of day 3, round 4, round 5. Niners have, I think, 3 fifth-round picks. I don't think it would be the stupidest move to use one of those on Malik Cunningham and then just go with 3 rookies. But at least you have 3 young players that Greasy, who I think already has done a nice job kind of coaching up the young players. Give them 3 young guys, and then you don't have to worry. I mean, then you got 3 guys who are all trying to be a number 1 guy, as opposed to just somebody who's kind of there that you're shuffling on and off the roster. So we'll see. The NFL may change their rules a little bit towards how they use quarterbacks, but I loved what I saw out of Cunningham this weekend. Really athletic, and from what I'm seeing, he's going to go in like the 5th or 6th round of the draft.
Well, the Niners are going to have like 11 picks or something like that, aren't they?
Yeah. They are. They're going to have like 11 draft choices.
The guy I like, because they've got a lot of 3rd-round picks. I think they got 3 of them. I believe it's going to be like 3 of them, their first 3 picks. I like the Tennessee quarterback, Hendon Hooker, to be a guy that you can kind of redshirt because he's coming off of an ACL.
Yeah.
Let him.
A lot of people like him.
He's old. He's like 25, which I like, because the fact that he would be a backup, but he has the potential to really blossom because he's 6'4". He's got a great arm. He's fast. And the Niners have had all these short guys at quarterback. Why not groom him for the following year, 2024, get him used to the system, and bring in a veteran quarterback like Dalton or Brissett to be the 3rd quarterback behind Purdy and Lance. And then you're kind of setting yourself up for the future. If because Hooker, I think what I saw of him this year at Tennessee, he was awesome until he got hurt.
I think he's going to go a little earlier than that, though. I think he's probably 2nd round, 3rd round. Somebody in the chat mentioned Thompson on UCLA. I like him. It's just a matter of whether or not
Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah. Just a matter of whether or not he's going to go really early. But Shanahan, I was thinking about him today, man, because I don't think that I've seen anybody manage the game as well as he does, depending upon who's playing quarterback. He really protected all of his players, with the exception of Purdy getting hurt, and just pretty much a freak play that we knew could actually happen. But he did a masterful job kind of keeping his quarterback out of harm's way. And I think he can do that with any guy who's playing that position.
Yeah. It's just that, it's about processing, getting rid of it. I mean, Purdy got rid of it a bunch. Purdy was not sacked a lot this year. I mean, he really wasn't. And I agree. I think there's people that say that Shanahan, look, he's gotten all these 4 quarterbacks hurt, but I think that's the way that's stated just plainly is just incorrect. I mean, he did not get those quarterbacks hurt.
I
don't see any common denominator. It's not Mike Martz with JT O'Sullivan and there's no pass protection. Shanahan doesn't care at all about pass protection. Really? He drafted George Kittle. Kittle's one of maybe the preeminent blocking tight end in the NFL. They traded for and have signed Trent Williams. He's the best left tackle in the NFL, or definitely among them. I mean, they've invested heavily. And what was Mike McGlinchey? 1st-round pick. What's Aaron Banks? 2nd-round pick. I think the Niners have invested significantly in the offensive line.
Yeah. Hey, getting back to that Vanderbilt deal, though, with 2nd-round draft picks, the Warriors have seconds available in 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. I think they could let 3 of those go for Vanderbilt if they're talking about multiple seconds. I mean, the Warriors got a lot of young guys. I mean, like 6 or 7. Why do they need a bunch of second-round picks?
Well, not only that, Danny, every year these cheap owners in the NBA sell second-round picks to Joe Lacob anyway.
Right.
So, and from what I can tell, if you're really astute, the guy that, there's a whole roster of people that don't get drafted that you can get on your summer league team and bring to camp. And if you really know personnel, heck, you can find guys.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of guys.
Those, I mean, if you gotta have somebody in a particular year that happens to fall in the second round, like I'll tell you, the guy that I really like is Leonard Miller. Have you seen Leonard Miller? Who's 6'9", small forward, and he's really super athletic. He's a second round pick. Well, if you got a second round pick that you really think is going to be something, then go buy one. Go buy one. Offer people $5. I think you can spend up to $5 million for a pick. And Joe's done it
every year.
Yeah.
Well, didn't he get Rollins this year? Wasn't Rollins bought?
Yes.
Was it Rollins? Yeah.
He was bought. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, they traded up to get Rollins and took Rollins. They paid somebody. Yeah.
Teams don't see the value in it, and if you can pick players, heck, the NBA's got there's 50 guys. I mean, we could sit here and name awesome second round picks. We've seen it here: Monte Ellis, Gilbert Arenas, Draymond Green. I mean, no franchise should know better than the Warriors that second round picks have value. Kid Tricksta makes a donation. He says, rumor that Jimmy G chose not to suit up in the NFC title game.
Let me go off on that.
We should tell people what this is. This was an unconfirmed rumor that Jimmy Garoppolo could have potentially suited up for the game, the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, and chose not to. And that Kyle Shanahan, part of how he seemed kind of cold and somewhat dismissive of Jimmy at the presser was a direct response to the fact that Jimmy, shined the Niners when they needed him most, and kind of blew him off. Rye, go ahead. I don't know if you know more about what the story is or isn't.
I'm a Twitter guy. I'm on Twitter all the time. And from what I could see, I was trying to figure out where this whole thing got started. I'm pretty sure Ryan Hensley just tweeted that
Who's Ryan Hensley?
Yeah, he goes on Grant's show a lot. He essentially he's not a reporter or anything, but he essentially started the rumor by saying that he heard from 2 people that I have no idea what caliber of people, but he heard from them, and he said it's not at all confirmed or anything like that that this whole thing happened. And then it was weird because then it was him going back and forth with people about whether it was a rumor or like that, and he kept saying, well, it's a rumor but he started the rumor. So I'm very confused.
Well, let me say, I tell you this though, there was some mustard on that fastball with Shanahan doing that presser.
There was.
Because usually, when you know that you are not going to have a guy back, you kind of agonize, we'd love to have him, but it's just not enough room and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. He was like, hell no. hit him in the back of the head with the door. Absolutely not. I mean, I noticed that. So I was kind of, wow.
You know what I think that stemmed from?
What?
I think it stemmed from all last season, kind of like, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Jimmy. I think it was just like, we're just going to kill this thing right now. And
yeah, but but Danny, that means it's not at all about Jimmy. I think if you have a moment right there to be incredibly gracious and be like, hey,
wasn't.
You know what, Jimmy, hell of a guy. And what a year. Thought maybe he had his best year. And man, say some nice parting things, and man, or just say, hey, he probably is not going to be back here, but man, we really want to let's take this time actually to recognize what this guy did, right? Because man, this guy did a lot, huh? Hey, how about that? But no, we're not going to have him. All right, and then you move on. But instead, he didn't even give him that. He's just like, he Eddie
so
D,
tunnel
like
vision
Mark
times,
Trestman when Eddie D grabbed the mic, and they're like, is Mark Trestman coming back? Eddie D was like over here, and he grabs the mic. He's like, he's gone. He's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, that was like,
it was harsh, man.
Yeah,
that was a bad offense. So that was a really bad.
It was a bad offense. We welcome in Cy Sotsis, who is not sitting outside. He's sitting inside.
Yeah, he is.
He's
He's outside again on his porch.
He's not outside. It's siding inside. It's clearly a late addition to the home. Let's get this one Kevin F out of the way here. He says Moody in the doghouse was supposed to be NBA ready. Cy, what's up with Moody?
Had a nice dunk tonight.
Dunk at the end?
Yeah, he had a nice drive the lane dunk.
He should play. And tonight was evidence of that. God, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you guys have covered. This was just a fantastic win. The most complete game of Jordan Poole's career. Klay Thompson. I mean, what am I going to say to add on to anything you guys said? It was just absolutely fantastic.
We haven't talked about Klay yet.
We haven't mentioned Klay yet.
Oh, well, there you go.
No, I'm just joking.
You sons of bitches. I hate all of you. This was unbelievable. I mean, if
we're talking Tyro Estrada mostly.
Playing center field.
The game like tonight does make you wonder, should the Warriors make a trade, right? Do they need to?
Not after I saw those two hook shots by Wiseman, man.
What about Wiseman?
Those two hooks.
Danny said not after he saw those two hook shots by Wiseman. All right, where are you? Sai, by the way, I one thing that we did cover that I didn't attribute to you because you weren't here was I read your a couple of your points. One of them was that you said, hey, if Jared Vanderbilt could be had for a couple of second round picks, freaking go get Jared Vanderbilt Warriors. I totally agree with that.
Hell yeah.
And then also, I didn't mention this one, but you said that points in the paint was a huge area of concern for the Warriors. What was the final points in the paint tonight?
Well, I tweeted that in the first quarter because the team started slow. They didn't get their first lead of the game, I don't think, until the second quarter. And then and in the first quarter, they were outscored in the paint 18-10. And this has been a trend all season. So at that point, when they were trailing, I started noticing. But the Warriors, that was one of the things they turned around tonight. Even though they started off the game being outscored 18-10, they ended up closing that gap and were outscored 52-48, which is almost even. So that's a good thing. But that's not the case most nights. And Jared Vanderbilt, would help tremendously with that. So, yeah, I hope they get him. Or, and if not, whatever. But it would be nice if they had him.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to rely on, 52% from 3-point, night after night. They were 26 of 50. You're going to have to definitely get inside when it's more like 17 of 50,
Yeah, and that was one short of the team's franchise record for most threes ever made in a game. They did that without Steph, and it was 3 threes shy of the all-time record without Steph. Really? Without Steph, that's crazy.
I know. That was an incredible game.
Yeah, they don't really need Steph. He's overrated.
That's what they learned tonight. They don't need Steph. Mm-hmm. Chiguayo says Dub should be patient with the young guys, in my humble opinion.
And I did a show yesterday. And I really need subs, man, because Rick Barry has a podcast channel. It's called Rick Barry's House. And we did a show yesterday and we need subs there, man. It's got like 200. That's about
what's it called? Shout it out.
Rick Barry's House. That's it. It's just all you got. If you just put in Rick Barry, his channel will come right up.
Oh, sorry.
Everybody sign up for Rick Barry's House.
I was looking for that yesterday. I was looking you up. I couldn't remember what it was called. The channel.
Well, if I go to Rick Barry's House, what will I get? Will I get
just all of our
instruction
shows
on how to shoot underhand free throws?
That too. You'll get a lot of an honorary individual who is one of the greatest players in the history of the game. You might hear someone talk about his 5 NBA sons. Who knows? Not really. I love Rick. He's phenomenal. So it's just literally we do a show a couple days a month where Rick gives his perspective on the Warriors. And every time he talks basketball, I just sit here and listen. I pick his brain. He believes firmly that Moody should be playing. He believes firmly that Wiseman should be playing. It's unequivocal in terms of his opinion on that. It's not like a well, maybe. But at the same time, he also defers to Steve Kerr as one of the greatest coaches ever. So it's a conundrum.
It's a difference of opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So.
What was remember the segment on Saturday Night Live, The Point is Moot?
Which era was
Everybody
that?
go to Rick Barry's house right there.
There it is. Yeah. Thank you.
The point.
And hit subscribe. Watch this. Just like.
Please.
Now, the guy that I listen to is Corey Cooper.
Subscribe.
And Corey says the Warriors beat a 12th place team tonight. They need a rim protector enforcer against top teams. I kind of agree with Corey there. Sometimes the fans see it best. What do you think, Cy?
I agree. I mean, look, the Thunder they're a team that they're not a bad team. Like, it depends on what day you look at the standings. You know, they're 12th today. They could be 7th tomorrow, right? I don't know how much I'll read into the standings thing. They're not a bad team. A year from now, this is going to be a playoff team. So yeah, on one hand, I do see the logic there, which is that don't get overly excited over beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. But on the other hand, they dominated. I mean, there wasn't a single category where you could say, yeah, they could have improved here, right? I think that it was a top-notch performance, top to bottom. It was the first feel-good win of the year. The first. I mean, I know the Celtics felt good, the Grizzlies, but this was like this was the first time I feel like you feel good about the Warriors going into the postseason. If they play like this, they're going to be fine, right? So
they swarmed Gilgeous Alexander, man. I love the defensive intensity on him from the jump.
Wiggins.
I mean, it was just like, hey kid, we know you're awesome. We're paying you your respect. We know you can have 40. We're gonna try to. I mean, they snuffed him out. I mean, he normally fills up every stat line there is. He had 20 tonight and 4 assists, but that's how good he's going. I mean, they did a tremendous job on him.
Yeah, Wiggins had a great game tonight, period. You saw him in the post. I always feel like Wiggins is feeling good when he's attacking when he's in the paint, playing like a power forward, because he really mastered that part of his game from it being virtually non-existent in Minnesota. But his defense on SGA was huge. SGA didn't hit a single three. Like you said, he shot 6 for 16 from the field, 20 points. That's far below what that all-star does. So yeah, props. But there was nothing wrong tonight. What are you guys talking about with I want to get in on the Shanahan and Harbaugh. What the hell's going on here, man? What are you guys talking about?
We were talking about there's a rumor, and it's an unsubstantiated rumor, that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't want to go into the game, and that part of the coldness that we may have seen in the presser with Shanahan and Lynch was that Kyle was maybe pushed out of shape, that Jimmy, wouldn't go, and they were forced to go with Josh Johnson because of the injury to Purdy. You know what? To me, if you told me, I would, there's some guys, if you said, oh yeah, they didn't want to play in the NFC Championship game, and I would be like, I would bet you anything you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like if you told me Steve Young didn't want to play in the NFC Championship game, Steve didn't want to come back, he was going to get a chance to play in the NFC Championship game, but didn't want to, I'd be like, you know what? No, don't believe you. But with Jimmy, I don't know him. I don't know him that well, but you know what? He's going to free agency. You're going into the big bad den of a Eagles team. They lead the league with 70 sacks. They're historically one of the greatest defensive lines. And maybe he didn't want to get involved. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to question it myself, but Shanahan didn't show a lot of warmth to Garoppolo. Is that just because Shanahan's kind of clueless and it's just all about football and he's worn out? It has really nothing to do with Jimmy? Or was this like, hey man, I'm kind of pissed at Jimmy. He could have helped us. He chose not to. If he had been there, and could have won that game, because I personally believe the Niners had the better team than the Eagles. I added that last line, but that's what
I was thinking about Shanahan today because he's a carbon copy of his dad, man, from a mental perspective. I mean, his father was just a tough-minded, hardcore, knuckles on the ground football coach who was a brilliant play caller and tactician. And I look at the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, I love Steve Nash, but Steve Nash was probably too nice a guy to be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. And when I look at Kyle Shanahan, he's a phenomenal coach because there's always a little distance between him and everybody. No matter how good you are, if you don't show up that particular day, he's moving on to somebody else. So when he made those comments about Jimmy G, it was kind of like right on playbook for him because he's that type of guy, man. I mean, and that's why he's a brilliant football coach.
No doubt about it.
Breaking news. Check that chat out. Jim Malay. Look at that,
hold
baby.
Hold on a second here. I've got a little cha-ching for Jimmy.
What's
That is
going on?
awesome.
What happened? I don't know. What happened? What's going on here?
It's coming. It's coming.
What's happened? Si's like, what happened? What's going on here? What's going on here? Look at this. Look at this. Mole in the house just threw a C note in there.
Why is there? What's going on?
Look at the bottom of the screen, Si.
Jim Mole. Look at this.
What the hell?
Mole just donated $100. He says,
Let's go,
love this
Jimmy.
starting five for the Krug Show post-game
Wow.
Warriors show. Congrats on 13K. Crushing it, brother.
Okay, I love it. Thank you, Jimmy. Hey, I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, I got to thinking, who's the starting five? If we're the starting five, Frank there in the middle's got to be Looney. Larry's got to be
Frank's got more
Steph.
game than Looney. Though.
Yeah, that's disrespectful. I'm Looney.
Larry's Steph. No, you're
I'm Steph?
You're
Right,
Steph.
I'm Looney. Hey,
you're
right, I'm
the-
Looney, dude.
Yeah, he's Looney. Larry's Steph. He's the distributor.
I'm more like Ty
Size
Jerome.
big mouth Draymond, and telling everybody off. Telling everybody. Size
Ty
telling
needs to
everybody
be
off.
Anthony Lamb. Ty's Anthony Lamb.
This is starting five. Rye is Wiggins. He's quiet, and I guess I'm Klay.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Look at Danny.
I don't know. That's all that was
Big
left.
night you had
So
tonight,
modest.
Danny.
So
That
modest,
was all that
Dan.
was
I guess
left.
I'm Klay.
I could be Wiggs, but I was just trying to go with personality because definitely.
Who on the Warriors is always eating during the game? That's who Danny is.
But
Cy, do we know you're locked? Cy, you're locked on Warriors. Who eats the most during the game? Because that would be Dan.
I don't know of any Warriors players that eats or anything. Oh no, Steph. Steph eats
Steph?
popcorn and stuff. So I guess
Oh, that's
Steph.
right. I'll be Steph. Sure.
You know, but
Oh,
But
no.
you're definitely Draymond, man. You got the mouth telling people in the chat, "Hey, you little punk! What are you?"
well, if they say dumb shit, I'm gonna call them out for it. But I thought I was gonna get dibs on Klay, man. I got the Bulldog. We're both Watermen, but I guess I'll be Dre. Whatever. Who cares?
Look at Mole though. Mole making it rain. Yeah, Mole just dropping the C note.
Is
on
that
us.
your
Thank
wife,
you,
Larry?
Jimmy.
Like, is that her pseudonym? Is that her fake account?
Who?
Is that her burner?
Who's that?
Is
Malay.
the person who give $100? Is that your wife?
No,
It's just
Okay,
one
so
count going into the other.
it's one of my Jimmy and I went to school together at Sac State. He's a Giants fan. He's a Krug Show fan. He was in my fraternity in college.
Oh, nice. So you know him. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
thank
we're
you, Dan.
friends.
Hey, looking at Rick
He's,
Barry's,
he's a Giant season ticket holder. He's been through a lot this
he
off
has.
season. All
He
right,
has.
let's be
I only
careful
got-
with him.
I
He's a
got 4
Giant
days.
season ticket holder.
I
Let's
actually
treat him with
got-
kid gloves.
I got 3 days. What should I do, everybody? I got 3 days. I got till February 9th. I lose my seat license if I don't renew. Maybe I was thinking maybe we can get 3 or 4 people in the chat we can all buy the season tickets together as a group, and they could be the Krug Show seats or something. I don't want to
Wait a
fork
second.
out.
Here,
thir-
how about this? How about this? There's
13.
2 things I want. I want people in the chat to respond to exactly what Danny just said. Danny's got you can say whatever you're going to say, but at the end of it, tag it with Danny, buy the tickets. Danny, don't buy the tickets. Okay. Because we've been debating, is Dan going to re-up these season tickets for weeks now? So
months.
should he or should he not re-up? That's definitely, we got to hear that, right?
And I think about it, they just signed my guy, Piscotti.
Scotty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that move. I like
that
Piscotti.
move
Yeah,
too.
solid move.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that move a lot too because they don't have any depth down in Sacramento for, if an outfielder goes down, the only outfielder they have that's on the roster is Ramos and Matos that are, and I don't know if either one's, ready to play. I mean,
Kevin
definitely
F.
not Matos
quickly,
yet.
as soon as we got into this topic 5 seconds ago, typed as fast as he could, Piscotti sucked. And we're off and running.
Hey,
We're off and
I
running.
like Piscotti. Don't get on Piscotti.
He's too young to be finished, though, man. That guy,
He's
I
only
mean,
I agree.
32.
imagine
I'll
him
say
raking.
this. He's got right-handed power.
Yes.
I'll make a prediction. Piscotti will make the team and be among the Giants' home run leaders this year. And they signed him on February the 6th.
I think
Because
he's
he's
a
got
player.
right-handed power. They've got a ton of hitting coaches. They'll get him right. He's a good kid. He's a Bay Area guy. He's motivated. He's already played for the A's. It didn't work out. I think in the NL with that swing, I could see bombs going out to left, down the line, to left center, to I mean, if you have power, pull power, right-handed pull power, you can hit a lot of balls out at Oracle.
Yeah.
They just haven't had that. Go look at the Giants and the history of the Giant roster since they moved into that ballpark. They had Ellis Burks. They've had very few guys, though. They had, who were right-handed pull power guys. And the guys who they did have put up big numbers there. Burks, Kent. So if you're a pull hitter, I think you can do it.
Hey, looking at the chat, Chardal's voted 8 times to buy. Do you know our governor, Katie Hobbs, here in Arizona? Jeez. Talk about stuff in the box.
Chardal is taking a personal interest in this. He's like, just renew.
He's got it 8 times in there. Buy.
Danny, what's the cost of this purchase? Because why don't
13, about 13 grand.
13 grand
for 2
Chardal, do you often? When was Chardal? I got to know. Be honest. When was the last time you spent 13 grand on one thing? It's probably. That's not too many people spend 13 grand on anything.
Hey, if everybody, how many we got in the chat tonight right now?
162, but climbing.
Rick Barry's up. When I subscribed, it was 222. Rick Barry's house. It said 225. We should get that thing to 300 easily tonight. Okay. Please. If everybody in the chat, just go to YouTube, type in Rick Barry's house and hit subscribe. Come on.
Jim Millay just donated another $5.
He bought us a championship in 1975.
Jim Millay has just donated another $5, ladies and gentlemen. He says, Dan, renew. Hate to say it. They may not be that bad. We complain, but let's face it. It's the Giants. You'll regret giving those tickets up within 3 years. Look at Millay.
Ooh, Millay. Yeah.
Millay's a believer in Kapler fever.
Yeah, I did read in Jim Bowden's Athletic. He did a power, the power rankings for the opening. He has the Giants at 23.
23rd in all of baseball?
Yeah.
Where were they in the division, though?
4th. No, 3rd.
Dan, how does that work? You fly up all the time?
4th, because the Diamondbacks are 22nd. I come up for maybe a dozen games a year, but I usually sell them on StubHub when they're when they're good. I get my money back. But last year I had to eat a ton of tickets. I just eat them. I mean,
what's a ton?
I wouldn't even give them a.
Cy wants numbers.
Double-digit games. I couldn't, and some of the games I sold $10 for each ticket.
And they're phenomenal seats too.
Oh, they're beautiful seats. I mean,
they're beautiful seats.
They're awesome.
They look like the other seats in the stadium.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. These ones have a little bit of a bow on the back. Yeah.
Where are they?
They're beautiful seats. I mean,
they're on the club level, even with the third base bag on the aisle.
Ooh.
No obstruction, because people walking down the aisle are on your left, and you can look at home plate. You're looking at the angle.
How many seats?
2, and they're right on the second to last row. So you're right by the glass. Right behind the glass is Tony's Pizza. The door opens, and you can.
Joe Schmo wants to know how many
smell
seats.
The pizza.
How many seats are they?
2.
A pair. He's got a pair.
Yeah. Could actually, if anybody wants to buy the license, I would talk to you about it, because the Giants are selling them for like $2,000 per ticket.
Millay says 13,000 is a lot of completes.
How many subscribers do we have to get to for Jim Millay to be out 13,000? That's what's the math on that?
Come on, we're still at 225 for Rick Barry. Come on, Rick Barry, the guy. If you've been around basketball, Rick Barry brought the Warriors a championship literally in 1975.
130,000.
What's that?
130,000 subscribers, right? Wait, is that how it works out?
For who?
Malays gives $100 every time the Krueg Show hits 1,000 subscribers.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, Malay's been donating $100 every time.
1,300. No,
Millay, check out Locked On Warriors, man. We're gonna hit 7,000 soon. Come join the party. Come on.
Get your hands off Millay. All right, keep your hands off Millay.
You can posthumously pay Cy through Venmo for the.
Malay, don't listen to him, man. Don't listen to him. He'll pollute you.
I got to
study Cy during this and just see what level of focus he has.
Oh, we got
compared
focus.
to the rest of the Krueg show.
Hey, somebody said in the chat.
Focus.
Somebody said in the chat, do you think the opener will be a sellout? I vote no. Saturday at the Fan
I was
Fest.
gonna say the other thing I want to. Can somebody send me a picture of the crowd from FanFest? I don't care if it's a fan picture. There has to be some fan who took a picture of the crowd at FanFest.
Is there no photos of them?
No,
there's no photos of FanFest.
I have not,
it's a conspiracy
you know
theory.
How
They're trying to hide
you
it.
See tons of photos of FanFest.
Yeah.
I didn't see one photo of FanFest. I think it might have been a ghost town.
It literally is FanFest. There's a single fan.
They were on Saturday. There was a special. You could get opening day seats. I think it was like $68. What does that tell you? One day only. They are not selling for opening day. Come on.
I have a video here from CBS News, and it shows this fan on the field. This kid, it looks empty.
Can you see it?
Are you talking about Oracle for the Giants Saturday?
Yeah. Are you seeing the stands? Can you see any of the stands?
Yes, they're empty. Here, I'll send this to Ryan so he
send
can
it to Ryan. Yeah,
send it to Ryan. We got to put this out.
Oh, it's empty. It's just completely.
And then somebody
empty.
screenshot this. And
I'm going to say this right now.
Was this during
somehow this picture has not gotten out on the Twitterverse. At least if it is, I haven't seen it.
This is a video.
Now, granted, I haven't gone searching extensively.
All right, Ryan, I just sent it to you. So
email or text?
Email.
Okay.
Yeah, it looked awful. But it rained that day, so it was in the middle of the storm.
It did rain.
Yeah, so that's not. Yeah.
Hey, Rick's up to 234. 9 of you subscribe.
There you go.
9 of you subscribed. Come on, we need at least
Moji says, Dan, spend the money on New York style Italian sausage.
And this, dude, Dan, you got to get the seats, man. Because if you don't buy them, aren't you out?
Yeah, I'm out. I lose the license.
You got to buy those, dude. That's
95.7 the game. Brian says Giants say they had 10 to 12,000 at FanFest.
Bullshit.
More like 4 to 5,000. Just sad.
Bullshit. No way.
You ought to put a picture up of the Padres FanFest. That was wild.
Well, yeah, nice weather. Warm down there.
You kind of need nice weather.
You even want, really.
I mean, I'll say this. I mean, I don't know how some of these people who are fans of stuff like in the your Cubs or Cardinals or something. You think it's bad to rainy weather?
It's like
how would you like to be standing out in like 2 degrees?
Do you want me to put audio?
No,
what
don't put audio.
That isn't it, is it?
I think
That's
so.
It.
Yeah,
no.
This is it.
Oh, there we go. Just pause it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
John, is that Val Ramos?
See, look how empty that is, right? I mean,
I believe that's the Giants' top prospect.
That is not 14.
Okay, freeze that. That is not 12,000.
No.
You can count that. There's less than 300 on the field.
That's like maybe 2,000. You could maybe come up with 2,000.
You could squeeze all of them in an elevator.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing.
Friends and family. That's
and
friends.
They probably
and
had the club level closed, I'm sure, because.
Oh, there is kind of a quadrant over here, but I think it's purposefully this view.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't tell. They're just a bunch of cardboard cutouts.
Is one of the events at Giants Fan Fest Larry Bear and his wife screaming at each other?
No.
Give me a rim shot.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Okay.
Thanks,
we don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I can't stand Larry Bear. I'll go there all day, every day.
Look, they've got our Larry. They've got our mic things. See?
Lavaliers?
Ah, yeah. Look at that.
Little fuzzy guys.
Up. It's a very nice orange jacket.
Look how empty that place is, man. There's no 2,000.
Wow.
That's not 12,000. That's not.
No.
What has happened? What has happened? Oh my God. I mean,
but baseball has one good thing going for it.
What's that?
On a beautiful day in July or Saturday afternoon,
people just want to go outside.
People can go outside and drink some beer, eat some hot dogs.
Hey, you guys want to hear my wild take on baseball?
Let me think about it.
Is this a Hutch? Is this like Hutch?
No, No.
Conspiracy theory?
This is it's a little bit. It's my take.
Wait, can I guess? Can I guess what it is?
Go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, let's see. How long have you been on the show, Dan?
Almost a year.
Almost a year. Okay.
What does Dan talk about more than anything? I'm gonna say Tom Brady. Do you talk?
No.
You talk about Tom Brady a lot.
You're not gonna guess this. This is my.
I bet you Danny's gonna make a prediction.
No prediction.
That Brady's gonna come back and lead somebody to the Super Bowl.
I already said that. You read that.
Did you see what I tweeted back to that tweet?
What?
Did you see what I tweeted back to Dan's
what tweet?
That was crazy.
What tweet?
You'll have to go look at it later.
It was a wild move by me.
No, I just want to make a statement about this is my statement with baseball. Baseball to me is the purest sport when it comes to officiating, umpiring of the major sports, because it's one sport that is not as subjective like football is and basketball.
Excuse me?
So baseball is very pure in the sense that it's very difficult to have
this picture out today.
Oh my goodness.
I just put their hat on, but I thought that was a good response to Dan's tweet.
It's a lost bet, right? So, Dan, are you serious about strike zones or objective? Are you kidding? Are you serious?
Strike zones, I think they're going to go to a robo umpire down the road, but I think it's very difficult. When an umpire is usually calling balls that are outside, calling them strikes, he's usually doing it for both teams. So
let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
Did you see the World Series with the Marlins?
Yeah, I know. With Eric Gregg, when Hernandez was.
Yes,
it was the NLCS against the Braves.
Yeah, the NLCS. It was awful. That was awful.
Okay,
but predominantly, baseball's a lot more consistent than NFL officiating in the NBA, because you don't usually sit and talk about the umpires. Usually, I mean, we had that one call against the Dodgers in 2021 when they called a check swing on Flores that, ended the Giants season, which was an awful call. But for the most part, it's generally pretty well.
Jaguayo donates $2. Says, Danny, if you don't buy, Kapler will win 2 World Series just to piss you off. Corey Cooper says, Dan, what about your Trevor Bauer prediction?
Oh yeah, I didn't have a prediction.
The Giants should sign
I didn't have
Trevor Bauer.
I didn't have a
take
prediction.
On a prospect.
That wasn't prediction. That was advice.
That wasn't taking on Bauer. That was taking Bauer trading for Bauer.
People
to get
turned
a
on
Dodger prospect and then dumping Bauer. Don't even let him see the Giants clubhouse. You're just taking him to get eat his 1 year salary to get a top prospect. In a sense, you're trading for a prospect. That was my idea. But, didn't happen.
GTC Real says Dan is wild.
That's true.
That is true. But I'm not
Chardal
like
says looks empty. Yes, it was a very empty ballpark.
Now, let me see.
But
Bauer to get Ohtani, was it?
You guys. Oh, man.
Yeah, Bauer to get Ohtani.
By the way, guys, I know I've been a little quiet. I was trying to make a presenting sponsor.
See, you are Wigs. You are Wigs.
I am Wigs. I'm just
you.
here. Come back. What do you think? Do you think this is too convoluted on the bottom? It could be a little convoluted.
Pig.
To just start adding that. It's the pig in the pickle freaking thing.
Is that actually their logo?
Well, yeah. If you look at the top left, you can see their logo. It is their logo.
Oh, okay. So
I love how what's his? I already forgot his name because I haven't talked to him in 8. What's your behind the scenes guy on the left? I love how he puts himself in the image.
Oh, I actually in that.
No one has any idea who he is. He has no part of the show.
That's great.
But he's gonna put himself in there. No one knows who he is.
I actually went to Pig in a Pickle yesterday.
Oh,
Did you?
yeah. I forgot about that.
Wait a second.
Yeah, I did.
We put Frank in the center square.
Yeah.
He went to Pig in a Pickle yesterday.
Tell us.
Frank, tell us about your experience at Pig in a Pickle.
Pork ribs are solid. The white mac and cheese is a winner.
Ooh.
And I actually ate a little bit of the mac and cheese, and saved the rest for lunch today. Luscious barbecue sauce. It was fantastic. So,
did you tell him though that Krueg sent you?
Actually,
You
yeah.
forgot. No, you forgot, man.
No.
That was a hesitation.
No.
That was
no.
delay a game.
The reason why is because the owner wasn't there.
Yeah,
One of the employees was there. So I said,
Right.
yeah. I came because I heard.
It does not matter if you said it. Some other people will say it. Some people will, forget to say it. But all that matters is that you checked it out and that you thought it was pretty good.
You thought about it, but because the owner wasn't there, you chose not to say it intentionally. But you did remember. You just intentionally, because the owner wasn't there, didn't bring up Larry's name.
I brought up the Krueg show, though.
There you go.
And then they got excited. It's like, whoa, advertisement. Yeah, my boss said he was going to do that. So it's working.
Oh, sweet.
The food was good. Really good.
It's good barbecue.
Frank.
It is outstanding barbecue.
Jim Millay says the character in the corner is an amalgam.
An amalgam?
Amalgam. Yeah, I can't even pronounce that word. Amalgam.
GTC Real says, how was the brisket? But Frank didn't go brisket. Frank went ribs.
Correct. Pork ribs.
Yes.
Hey, who was it that went said he'd go pork ribs? Baller. That's right. Where's Baller
Frank
tonight?
Too. Frank and
That's
Baller
right.
both said ribs, right?
Where's Baller tonight?
Yeah.
Baller couldn't make it tonight, but Baller's going to be back to Warriors play
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Clay's birthday up in Portland where he grew up.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
going to be
cool.
interesting.
2 days,
and then you also got LeBron on what, Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, so are we all betting like adjusted total on that? Because he's definitely going to get it. The points.
I don't
Does
think
he get it tonight? Does he get it tomorrow night
against the Bucks?
Oh,
Or does he get it against the Bucks? Yeah. Is it in Milwaukee or in LA?
It's in Milwaukee.
Oh, in Milwaukee.
I think
that would be
No. It's in LA.
It's in LA.
It's in LA.
Oh, it's in LA.
In LA, but still, no.
it's in Milwaukee.
And LeBron already cost me money. I was counting. I thought he was going to light it up. The last game he played, I lost because of that, and there's no guarantees, man. How's
Fish and Chips? Fish and Chips is when are you guys going to broadcast from Pig and a Pickle? Oh,
yeah, I want to try.
I could maybe expect next year's fantasy draft to be there.
I created a parlay tonight, the Warriors game.
Yeah, let's get to this. This is great.
Man, I thought it was going to be a big winner.
I was on the phone with Dan for the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm creating it, playing with it. I had Kuminga to get 10 points, DiVincenzo to hit at least 2 threes. Wiggins had to get fill
in for Baller.
Wiggins had to get 4 rebounds. Let me think it over. Wiggins had to get 4 rebounds. Poole had to get 25 points, and they had to win between 1 and 10. Only one that hit was DiVincenzo. Wiggins ended up with 3 rebounds. They didn't credit him with the rebound when he got fouled on an offensive rebound. They called it, and they didn't give him the rebound. I don't know why. He got hit over the back.
My big contribution, but I think some technology thing happened. But I was saying points, rebounds, and assists. Klay Thompson over 32.5. And he had
nice.
And
I had it, and then it didn't go into the parlay, and it screwed it up. But my odds on that parlay were plus 2,100.
Pretty good odds. It was pretty. It all started because I was on the phone with Dan for just a second, and then he was telling me how he's doing all these. He's betting all these first baskets, which is a thrill because it's just like I bet Looney to score the first whatever. And I was on the phone with him while the Wizards game was starting, and he was like, "Up, Kispert, oh, Kispert got blocked. Oh, damn, oh."
Dan, how often do you win? I want to get to the win. So
I don't.
Here and there.
Let's just put it this way. I don't. I've won more.
Bet your HOA dues.
I've won more than I've lost. I don't I don't bet a lot.
No, you haven't.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I have. I don't.
You've won more money gambling than you've ever lost.
I have.
That's delusional.
No, I haven't lost that much.
I would say most gamblers would have lost.
To be fair, Dan does have like very moderate bet sizing.
Yeah.
And arguably the most I feel like you've bet since I've been around you was maybe that day at the ballpark when we both made money off the live. I showed Dan what live betting was, and then the Jock Peterson. Oh,
you should put that on. You should show that, man. That was awesome.
Okay.
We went nuts.
Hendricks, that's delusional.
I will say this, Larry, and I'm not trying to sound
Noodles.
like
Dan is
sound
cheating.
arrogant. I've in my lifetime, I'm ahead in gambling.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
That's an amazing thing. We have 2 winning gamblers on our show.
Who's the other one?
I think we may be and a man with very small hands, but who's also a winning gambler.
Yeah, wait, who's the smallest hands in the starting lineup?
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I mean, I like to think that I win roughly about as much as I lose. But
that's good.
You know, I also am betting very small amounts.
Me too. I'm very small amounts, like $10 here, there. Tonight was actually a big bet for me. So, but I don't do a lot. I usually pick, like, I win a lot of parlays in football because
Eddie says, did anyone watch opening night tonight? Opening night of the Super Bowl. It's media night tonight. His Larry Rye, Dan Frank, Cy. Has anybody watched opening night from the NFL tonight?
I should open my front door. I could probably hear him.
That's right. Danny's in Arizona.
Wait,
I didn't watch any of it.
7 minutes from.
I was watching the Warriors in OKC.
Yeah.
So Del Boca Vista is close to the stadium?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, very close.
Have people complained because of the noise?
Corey Cooper asked me, why do I think Mark Jackson is a good fit for the Brooklyn Nets? Well, I mean, that ship has passed. I think Jacques Vaughn's doing a hell of a job. But Mark Jackson went to Bishop Loughlin High School in Brooklyn. And, you know, he's just a New York guy. And I think a lot of the foolishness that you endure with players, he would establish that, you know, from the start. He just wouldn't deal with it. And I think that, you know, people don't like to talk about how important relationships are, but they matter. I was looking at the last 10 or so years, and literally Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr are only 2 coaches who haven't had any experience that I can think of that had success as head coaches. And Kerr was a general manager, played for one of the greatest teams of all time. So he knows how the sausage gets made. And Mark Jackson knows how the sausage gets made. Just
so
to implement. Yeah. So, you know, that's why I think Mark would have been a great fit for that team, because he embraces the Brooklyn culture, the New York culture, and he's a big personality, and he's a winner. So that's why I think he would do great.
Ray, would you agree, though, that what holds Mark Jackson back is the fact that he doesn't play the game, the business game, the marketing game? You know, he keeps it real. If
yeah.
That's
well, here's what I think, and I haven't talked to Mark about this, but, you know, Mark had a lot of challenges, man. His younger brother passed, was the AAU champ. I can't think of his brother's name.
R.I.P. the great Escalade.
Escalade. Now, let me tell you something. When Mark and I played together, right, in the summer, Mark used to babysit his brother. And I interviewed his brother on my show up in Sac some odd years ago before he passed. A wonderful young man who happened to be 300 plus pounds. Mark's dad died kind of early on in his life when he had just become a pro. So I think if he had a little more coaching as to how to deal with this, you know, this corporate NBA, I think he would have been more successful. But I'm saying, yo, man, we live in the world of forgiveness, don't we? You know, he's a hell of a basketball mind.
Brilliant.
And I think he would be successful. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Cyrus. I think that somebody or a collective is holding that against him. And I think it's unfortunate because franchises are not being successful because they're living in this box when they start to hire coaches. And there's a reason why Draymond, Steph, and Klay love the guy.
Love him. Yes.
I know. That's what I every time, like, I try and bring up the idea of Mark Jackson, it seems like everybody either just like shoots it down as like, well, I thought the Kings, obviously they made the right hire, but I thought the Kings could have done well with Mark Jackson. It's like, obviously sometimes there are coaches that, you know, get you there, like build you up. And then there's the coaches that you need to go win the championships. But like, there's nothing wrong with, like, if you have, in my mind, I was like, oh, De'Aaron Fox, young guard, you know, Mark Jackson clearly knows how to, you know, pump his guys up, get some confidence, get some juice in the building, bring people together as a team, as a unit, even if it is against, the front office at time, whatever that is. But yeah, I don't understand why he hasn't gotten another job. And the only thing I can think of is like, sometimes people make fun of him, like the way I don't know. Sometimes he sounds a little goofy when he's announcing and stuff, but like, who cares? The proof's in the pudding of him coaching.
There goes that man.
Yeah.
No, I think it has a lot to do with the whole Bogut controversy and demanding, being like really dogged in his kind of guys should go to chapel, and he kind of crossed that line of religion and what expectations. Like I just think Bogut kind of publicly pushed back on his we're all going to go to chapel, and your faith is your faith. My faith is my faith, could be different than your faith.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you cross that kind of line of you're disrespecting other people's faith by kind of making them honor your faith. And this is just a guess because I don't have any sources in the league office, but I think that probably has as much to do with why he hasn't been hired as anything. I just think that, but it has, I think I'll just say this. I think it has zero to do with basketball. Mark is one of the smartest, known as an incredibly smart high school kid. He was the smart player on the St. John's team, and he was like a coach before he even coached. I mean, he was that kind of a player, and then he did make a huge impact on Steph and Klay and Draymond and establish a culture of defense.
I'll tell you what I think would be a great spot for Mark Jackson. And I don't know how long Dwayne Casey's going to coach, but if Draymond ever went to the Pistons with that young team, Mark Jackson would be perfect because when he took over the Warriors, they were young, up and coming. And I think the Pistons are going to be that in a year or two. And if Dwayne Casey's moved aside or retires, steps down, whatever, Mark Jackson would be really good for Detroit.
What burns Mark Jackson is that, hey, man, he led him to 50 wins. Yeah, but when you moved aside, the same group won 67. That also kind of hurts, I think, But but I think I actually don't even really think it has to do with that as much. I think people would understand different coaches, different, players ascend. This was a group that was ascending. It makes sense looking back. But at the time, I think people were like, wow, look at the improvement. I remember Gary at the time going, the Warriors can't get rid of Mark. They can't do any better. They can't win any more games. And then sure enough, they took it to a totally different level. And it was because, at that point, we were kind of conditioned to think 50 wins was like, incredible, hey, man. Yeah. We're going to build a statue outside the building for you.
Well, because for the Warriors, and Larry, just to add to that, the Warriors never play defense. Ever since Rick Barry's era, all the way until Mark Jackson became the head coach, the Warriors never play defense. That's like 40 years. Mm-hmm. So I that sticks in my mind that the Warriors actually got a coach who, for the first time in my life, instilled a defensive identity for this team. So that alone was impressive to me. And I'm just
one of the reasons why I really admire Bob Myers is I heard him do a TV interview one time. He was like, fellas, come on. Part of our success was luck. Did anybody know that Draymond Green was going to be able to slide in and literally create a position in basketball that's never been there before?
Yeah.
And it happened because David Lee got injured.
Yep.
That's the reason why he got in. So,
yes, sir.
So as brilliant as Steve Kerr is, and he is brilliant. I mean, remember the shot that Klay missed, the last second shot, the out of bounds play at the end?
Yes.
That was unbelievable. So for him to be able to draw up those plays and those pressure-packed situations really distinguishes him among a lot of coaches. But this whole Warrior miracle run, they've done a lot of things right, Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr, but some of it was just downright luck. They got lucky, and they built a dynasty off of that.
Well, was that Draymond's rookie year, that one regular season game versus the Miami Heat when I want to say he hit a game winner?
I don't remember, but he gained prominence in his second year, right? Second and third year.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
I think it was third year.
Yeah, he was very much a role player his first year.
But it's funny. I remember studying the lottery players that year when Klay came out, and I was watching a ton of Wazoo highlights, and I saw the I saw the shooting form and everything. I'm like, wow, that's really nice. But then I thought, was he just a shooter? And I'm watching. And for the most part, he was just a shooter in these highlights, curling off screens. And I thought, well, he's got a beautiful shot, beautiful release, but I don't know if he's got any kind of handle. I don't know if he can make anybody else better. I don't remember ever seeing him have any kind of a pass to anybody. And then I saw like almost a 3/4 court on the break, one-handed bounce pass. And I'm like, well, it's in there, man. It's in there. Maybe deep in there, but it's in there. And, the fact that the Kings took Jimmer for debt over Klay. I mean, what the heck? Sacramento, my goodness. That's as bad as David Kahn taking Johnny Flynn and Ricky Rubio over Steph. I mean,
my God.
How about this for a little time? Because I just searched Draymond Green game winner Heat, just because it was the first time I remember Draymond. It was the first time I realized, oh crap, this guy's actually kind of
Ryan, you're a wizard with a computer, dude.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is just kind of a funny, whoa, this is crazy, because this article is from right after the game in 2012. And we got a little quote from LeBron about Draymond. Okay, here we go. Haven't played the after the game, James talked to Green to congratulate him. This is LeBron quote. He played hard. It was great competition out there between me and him, James said. I also really respected him in college, especially a big time player, and no one really gave him a shot. But you can tell he knows how to play the game. Any team that got him will find a way to get him minutes because he knows how to play, and Golden State is a good fit for him. It was good to see him out there. That's kind of just crazy. And it's just weird because it's then smash cut to everything that would happen between those guys. Maybe that's when he really became a big LeBron guy.
Rebellious. It's called Google.
I know.
Hate.
Cy, not only was it a good win for the Warriors, a great night for Klay, maybe one of the best performances we've seen all year from Poole, another really strong performance from Looney, who was plus 21 off the bench. DiVincenzo had another strong game. But, the guy that I just, as far as once or twice a game, he does things that you're just like, what? How about Jonathan Kuminga tonight? I mean, if you see this line, you're like, 23 minutes, 7 points,
nothing
couple
special.
Rebounds,
nothing special. Yeah.
5 assists. He was spectacular tonight. And then I got to get you guys' thoughts on my favorite sequence of the night was Poole on the quick touch pass to Kuminga.
Oh, no, I think that was to Looney.
I think it was to Looney for the
but that was
just a thing of beauty.
The Kuminga thing, there was a lob in the first quarter where Draymond threw it up to Kuminga for an easy slam. And I kept thinking, watching that, why aren't they doing this more? Kuminga could thrive in the interior if they actually called plays for him. And I think that's just something that he's going to have to develop himself in terms of, he's only 20 still. But two things really, look, Klay Thompson, first of all, and this is a crazy stat, but it's very true. January was the highest scoring month of his career. Klay Thompson probably gets into the Hall of Fame right now if he just retired, right? And as a Hall of Famer, he's still accelerating and progressing in terms of being an individual. He literally had the best month of his career in January, where he averaged 27 points per game. The second highest month he ever had was 25.9, and that was all the way back in January 2015. So the fact that Klay Thompson is just getting better and better it bodes so well for the Warriors. That they're going to need him to play like this. And right now he's averaging, I think, 20.8 points per game. After tonight, that average is going to go above 21. So kudos to Klay Thompson just for that. And then you mentioned Jordan Poole having the best game of the season. I thought that was the best game of his career. I really did. Draymond Green said something really interesting in the postgame, and I played this on Locked On Warriors, where Jordan Poole, the one blemish on his stat sheet tonight is that he had 4 turnovers. But Draymond Green pointed out that 3 of the 4 turnovers were at the end of the game when Poole and other players were trying to force the ball to Klay, because Klay finished 2 threes shy of tying a record he already owns for most threes in a game. And so three of Poole's 4 turnovers were just basically forced passes to Klay when the Thunder were putting like 4 and 5 dudes on him, right? I don't know if you noticed that. So Jordan Poole, I really did. It was only the 3rd double-double of his career, which is a really like eyebrow-raising stat. That's surprising to me. That was the first double-double of the season for him, 3rd of his career. I think that was the best game he's ever played. What do you think?
I think it was important that Klay got off to such a good start because when I was talking to Danny on the phone, the first thing I brought up was like, oh, you should probably bet Jordan Poole over points. Whenever Klay's not out there or whenever Steph's not there, he always it feels like that he gets to be the Steph and he gets to put up all these shots and all that. I just thought it was really remarkable that first of all that he was totally cool with Klay getting off, and he had like 5 points early in the game, or I think it was like halfway through the second quarter he had like 5 points or something like that, and it was like he just kept passing. He was just playing within himself, playing the role they need him to. And then the best part about it is that it's like basketball gods. It's like he was just looking to pass, looking to create, and then the points came for him. He didn't have to force it. They came for him. All of a sudden, boom, hits a three. And it just felt so effortless and like within the offense. And it's just, I think that's going to be I'm going to say that's the most important thing for the Warriors this year if they're going to win the championship is Jordan Poole has to find that comfort zone again. And I think I think that this is a lane where he could maybe be, he has the ability to be this kind of like distributing player, sort of like Steph, almost like when Steph was at Davidson and then his final year, he had some struggles adjusting to that. But Poole has the vision, Poole has the handle. He can do all of that kind of stuff. And if he could find a little comfort lane here and he's a little more distributing, let the other guys cook, he's going to have a million chances to score. And it can't just be he's only impacting the game if he's scoring. That can't be it. It needs to be more.
Tonight was an example of that.
I totally agree. I think Poole looked, he just doesn't look comfortable like he looked tonight a lot of nights. But tonight he looked really, really comfortable. Brian Iglesia asked an interesting question. He says, I hate to put a damper on the Warriors tonight, but I'm concerned with Andrew Wiggins' lack of rebounding. Of course, guys, we saw Wiggins in the playoffs. He was awesome on the glass. He said these last couple of games, though, 0 boards against Dallas and only 3 tonight against the Thunder.
He has a point, but Wiggins to me tonight looked like the old Wiggins for the first time since he missed those 15 games. His defense on SGA was so huge. Even though he only got 3 boards, I saw him posting up players, making baskets in the post. I think tonight was the first time where he looked good. Like even his jump shot. That flick of the wrist, there was touch on his shot again. So I understand the concern. In my opinion, tonight completely deviated all my Warriors. I think
he could have totally agree with you with more rebounds too tonight. I was watching because Danny had his little bet, and there was a couple where they could have seemed like they could have gave him a rebound. They didn't. Like even when he was like, there was one where he put it back and they didn't credit him. So sorry, Frank.
No, he was, I loved his game tonight. He was playing more perimeter-oriented defense. He was guarding forwards. He was guarding guards. He was engaged, and he gave me a lot of confidence because that guy playing against one of the top players in the Western Conference, be it Paul George or Luka or one of those types of guys, is going to have a problem because Wiggins has shown that he can be that guy. So this is the first time that I've seen him be engaged like he has in the past when he was literally an all-star caliber player. So Cyrus, I agree with you. I didn't really. You can't get rebounds when the opposition is scoring layups or you're 19 feet from the basket. So that wasn't a problem. His defense tonight on the perimeter, to me, really sent a message to the opposition that the Warriors, again, potentially can be that team as they head towards the playoffs.
What has happened to Dan's lighting is really my question.
Yeah, we were commenting on it. And
Dan was a bright.
Yeah, I moved in here, and I'm going to have to move
Where
out.
Are you?
I moved into a different room. I was going to.
Why is your wall decorated so shoddily?
Do you not have one of the light things?
No, I don't.
Why is your wall decorated
like that? Look at that. See my Wiggins Monster Slam.
Are we in the bathroom with you?
Did you put any thought into that? Like you just put two like posters up just next to each other with like no thought.
Oh, they were just they're props. They're props for now.
I just don't like how dark you are.
I know. I'm going to move it back. I'm going to go back to the other room.
I mean, that I can barely see I can barely see your eyes, and you have beautiful eyes. All right, let me just.
I'll be right back. I'm going to disappear again.
He has two posters, this huge wall, and
hey, stop it, Cy. Draymond,
don't run up the score, Draymond.
No,
Dan's moving now. Dan's moving. Dan's on the move, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm on the move. Wow, he's moving down the hall.
That Dan has a cocaine problem.
Can I bring up real quick? I brought this up on. Oh, are we still doing Dan? I'm sorry.
No. Here we go.
This is Dan.
Here we go. Okay, here we go. I got a question for you guys. We got two questions. One is Motivation Gaming says rumor is the Warriors may trade James Wiseman for Mo Bamba.
Is that true?
Well, who said that?
Motivation Gaming, who's a regular on our channel, says rumors they may trade Wiseman for Mo Bamba.
What's your source, Motivation Gaming?
Would you make that trade?
No.
Not.
I wouldn't.
Not for those two hook shots tonight.
I wouldn't.
I mean, Mo Bamba can shoot the ball, but come on, no way.
No.
And I like Mo Bamba, but I wouldn't do that. Okay, here's one, and I'll throw the banner out here since we have this one. There's a story out here that the Celtics want to trade for KD.
But like, what are
this
they
is a story. This is a Stephen A. Smith story, but this is the theory that following the trade of Kyrie to the Mavericks, that KD may not be happy there, and there's talk that teams are now at least calling the Nets, inquiring about KD. Stephen A. Smith is reporting that a bunch of teams are calling, and that the Celtics were linked to a trade for Durant last offseason before the Nets pulled him from the market. And Stephen A. is talking about a trade package centered around Jaylen Brown.
Jesus, Brown.
Of course, Durant is signed through the 25-26 season. Jaylen Brown can be a free agent in 2024, and the Celtics are unable to extend him unless he makes an NBA All-Star, an All NBA team. What do you guys think? I mean, is Boston going to ride in before Thursday night and get KD? And if they do, are the Celtics going to win the whole thing if they get Durant?
They'll be the favorites.
I mean, I'm sorry, but you got to keep Jaylen Brown showed up in those finals. Jason Tatum was the one with
agreed,
who just absolutely crumbled under the pressure. You can't get rid of Brown, and Brown was pissed off about those rumors earlier this summer. So this can't be good unless Stephen A is just stirring the pot, which would be kind of awesome. The team I'm really scared of getting KD, because you can kind of work the pieces around. Trade centered around Desmond Bane going to the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they had like one sort of, imagine what that we're talking about, the Grizzlies Warriors not actually being a rivalry. That kicks it off right there. If KD goes to the Grizzlies, that's scary.
I mean, Larry made a good point, though, and it was interesting because I didn't hear about that. I don't know if it's true or not. Boston can't extend Jaylen Brown unless he makes an All-NBA team. Is that true?
That's true.
Wait,
okay,
what?
So what happens then? His contract is over and they can't re-sign him? I don't.
No, they can re-sign him, but they can't prevent him. I think they can get one more year on the contract, maybe.
I'll look
the way the contract's written.
Because I'm kind of with Rye. I think Jaylen Brown
twice.
At this point is ingrained in that Boston culture. He means a lot more to them than just as a basketball player. Now, I will say this. If KD wants out of Brooklyn, he's gone. I mean, he's gone. If he wants out, he's gone.
In a strange way, though, I almost think they improved their team in this trade with Dinwiddie and
they did, because they did.
Yeah,
Dan, I talked about this on
shot.
I talked about this on Locked On Warriors tonight because I had to touch on that Kyrie trade, and because it does affect the Warriors. I mean, the Mavericks were their Western Conference Finals opponent. They could play them in the playoffs. I'm with you. Though I feel like the Mavericks gave up two of the most troublesome players that, in terms of bothering the Warriors and playing defense,
they can't beat the Warriors.
Luka Kyrie duo is not going to beat the Warriors.
No.
The fact that they gave up Spencer and Dinwiddie, who routinely gave the Warriors problems, Dorian Finney-Smith, who is underrated,
awesome. Total
awesome
player
who gave the Warriors. and you gave those two up. The Warriors offense is going to eat that team alive.
Oh yeah, they can't play any defense, Kyrie and Luka, and they're both ball dominant. So I don't see how that trade works for Dallas. But I think the Nets, if I'm KD, I'm thinking just bunker down and try and win a title because Dinwiddie's really good, and Finney Smith is,
Dan, that Brooklyn team is not winning the title. No way.
You don't think they could compete with
Finney Smith? Since he signed his contract, he plays hard, he's tough, but he's not quite as efficient. I mean, he's shooting around 34 to 35% from three. He's a solid defender, but he's kind of a 3-and-D guy,
Yeah, but watch with Dinwiddie.
Brooklyn's defense could get really good.
See, that's what I'm saying. Their defense. I think Dinwiddie
Smith
with KD now being the guy.
I like the Knicks better right now. I do.
I like Brooklyn better. I think
I'm
it's
a Knicks
between. I think it's a 4-team. It's really maybe 3 teams. I think it's obviously the Bucks and the Celtics, but I think Brooklyn's the third team.
Who's the second scorer on Brooklyn? Who's the second scorer? Is it Dinwiddie's not a number 2 scorer.
Seth Curry.
Seth Curry's not bad. Joe Harris is pretty good. He's a great 3-point shooter.
There's also talk, guys, that Simmons and that KD can't stand Simmons, and that they may try to move Simmons to make KD happy.
Oh, I heard Simmons is untradeable. Nobody wants him.
I believe that. Look at his contract and look at his game.
Yeah, nobody wants that. I mean, that's probably the detriment.
We don't need a report to tell us that.
That could be why KD may want out, because if he's stuck with Simmons,
but if
probably
Boston
better
gets
off.
KD and they only had to move a Jaylen Brown as far as the major piece, Boston might be head and shoulders the best team this year. If you can put Tatum and KD together on a team,
Warriors still beat them
with Marcus Smart. Don't you think that pushes Boston over the top?
I still think the Warriors beat them, and it's not it. The Warriors have KD is not going to be the guy who carries a team. Jason Tatum has shown he can't beat the Warriors by himself. I think the Celtics are idiots if they trade Jaylen Brown. I'm with Ryan. It makes no sense. Jaylen Brown's the one guy that routinely, consistently scores on the Warriors and causes issues.
He's the toughest guy on the team.
Yeah.
You know what? And it pisses me off because all of the Boston media that I listen to, it's like they all of the criticism that should be thrown at Tatum, but Tatum is their little baby boy, so they don't want to throw anything at Tatum. So then they like do some weird logic where then they over criticize Brown for like turnovers and his ball handling, and it's like no, at least he's a dog. Like when it matters, he's a dog. So.
Totally agree.
I mean, Tatum, I love Tatum. I think Tatum's a special player, but watching them in the finals last year against the Warriors, it's pretty obvious that he kind of sees himself as like a Kobeite. He's like, he wants to be Kobe. He plays, he wants to handle at the top of the key and put it through his legs and get a nice little rhythm, face up game and jab step a couple times and then shoot the ball. I mean, that's what he wants to do. And he's pretty good at it and he's incredibly fluid. But when he caught the ball in the lane, the Warriors could not stop him. He literally stopped himself. If they had just fed Tatum repeatedly in that series and get entry passes right in the middle of the key, nobody could have stopped it and the Celtics would have won. The Celtics tried it, had success, and went away from it. Warriors didn't really stop that. The Celtics just became disinterested, and Tatum just decided, hey, I want to kind of, play with the ball at the top of the circle and hoist. And he likes that. It makes him feel comfortable, but it's somewhat low percentage.
Hoist.
By the way, just more kind of, I don't have anything against Tatum, but it's just I get annoyed because there's so many Boston people in the media. So how like they do the voting for all-star starters, it's like 25% media, 25% NBA players, and 50% fans. Tatum is a starter. He's a front court. Like they, it's
Embiid's not.
It's guards and front court. The media, they did the breakdown. So the player rank had Tatum 4th in voting. The fan rank had him at 3. The media had him at 1. It's so stupid. Like
who should go over him in the East?
Giannis.
Embiid didn't make it.
Because Giannis is having like one of his worst years this year. That's why.
He still has been awesome. I also would put KD ahead of him.
Giannis is a starter, right? In the East?
Giannis is a starter, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so is KD, right?
So is KD.
Yeah.
Embiid's the one that got knocked out in the front court.
It just felt like they're boosting the total.
Right, when you say Boston media, you're referring to Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo, right? Because that's
no. I mean, there's a whole army of them.
Who else?
Okay,
I want names.
Okay, basically the entire ringer, and I mean Zach Lowe's East Coast
and Zach Lowe, yes, Simmons posse. The Bill Simmons posse. They are ridiculous in the sense of how much love they've given Nikola Jokic, who's good.
Oh my God!
Is Jokic going to win a third MVP?
It's outrageous. It's
who's getting MVP? Is Jokic getting a third MVP this year?
Embiid, baby. I want Embiid.
It's stupid because now because now he's gotten 2, and now it's like this is the year he actually deserves it, and it's like, are they going to really give it to him? I don't know.
Embiid should get it, I think.
Embiid should, but you just saw an all-star star.
Embiid took it to him the other day.
Sorry, here's the thing about Embiid, which is, I mean, Embiid is puzzling because this dude is one of the most talented centers in the history of basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he can do things that, like, I'm like, wow, I can't believe he does this.
He's like the Patrick Ewing of his era.
Yes, but by the time the playoffs start, he like goes out to dinner before the game and he's out of shape in the playoffs. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, like turnovers at the end of the game that fall off his knee and stuff like that. This guy should be Moses Malone in the playoffs. Forget about who's on my team. Give me the ball and move out of the way. And it has not happened. Even
he said this year's this year's team is the best fit he's ever been on. I will say this, Joe, and this might be a hot take. I would love to hear your reaction to this. I feel like Joel Embiid is the only player in the NBA that Draymond Green cannot effectively defend.
He can't guard him. Nobody can guard him.
Yeah,
but he can guard himself if he can't get past half court.
Also, just upon further analysis of these all-star votings, I do have a couple other things that point a little bit towards the Boston media. How about for the guards? The number 2 ranked guard by the media, Jaylen Brown. And if you go over to Eastern Conference, if you kind of that whole sort of sphere of, you know, how you're saying you kind of know who the media people really like. It's like they really love Jokic. Okay, he's number 1 in the West, of course. Then they really like, obviously they really like LeBron. LeBron's 2. And then 3 is DeMontis Sabonis. That's like a classic sort of like, okay, he's good, but like, all right, maybe we're getting a little carried away with Sabonis.
Yeah, agreed.
Luka's number 1 guard, Curry 2.
Interesting. Hey, speaking of the trade deadline coming up here in less than 72 hours, name one surprise player you think that might get dealt that is not being discussed right now in trade talks.
Look at Dan with the twisting question. I like that, Dan.
I'm going to say I threw out Chris Duarte the other day. That's the one.
I love that.
I think Duarte makes a lot of sense.
I don't know why they stick with him every year. They're going nowhere. But I'm going to just throw this out.
Miles Turner.
Dame Lillard.
Ooh.
He's not going anywhere.
He's never going anywhere, but he's going nowhere with Portland. I don't know what they think they're going to do with him. They're just going to run him out for the next, 5-6 years? They're not going to ever get a championship in the West with Dame Lillard. Why don't they rebuild while he's still got huge upside and value?
Yeah. Just emotionally, that's tough for Portland because if it goes bad, you're done. You know, that's not one that you can be wrong on, you know, because he means literally you got Bill Walton and you got Damian Lillard at this point. I mean, this guy, I mean, you know, he is the franchise in the history of this organization. So it's tough. He's a humanitarian. He's a great guy. I mean,
I love Dame. I mean,
you can't be wrong on that one. You can't.
Same. Oakland zone, baby. Oakland zone.
What do you think of the rumors that like they might trade Shaedon Sharpe to?
He's good.
He has value.
Yes, he does.
But if you're going to try and capital, that's kind of the thing is they're saying, you can't straddle the line here. You got to either trade your most valuable thing, actually try and compete this year when the West is wide open, or here's one here. This would be a crazy one. This is a crazy one. I am a little afraid that maybe the Nuggets do something wild. Just because things are so. What about Michael Porter Jr.? I don't know who it's for, but I'll just throw that out there.
Well, Bones Highland is the obvious one that the Nuggets are probably going to move, and I'm with you though that whoever they get for Bones Highland, I'm scared. I'm a little worried about that because if it's a big type impactful player, I mean the Nuggets are a legit rival. I mean, look, the Warriors will beat them, but they're a concern. They're a concern.
I'll give you a couple names, not necessarily for the Warriors, but guys that I think are going to get moved. I think Harrison Barnes gets moved in Sacramento, even though Sacramento's having a good year. And then I just think there's Sacramento wants to make a move. I also think
actually,
what's that?
I misspoke. I meant to say Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp. I think Zach LaVine gets moved. I think there's a bunch of teams that want LaVine, and the Bulls are going nowhere.
Speaking
of
the
Bulls, blow that up.
Speaking of Shannon Sharp, did you guys see the 30-30 for 30 for 30 last night on the Ravens on the Ravens 2000? It was
sad because they had Goose there.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch that because I love Goose.
He was great. Goose. It was built around a lot of it. The whole 30 for 30 was built around Goose.
Yeah, I didn't want to see him. I mean, no,
he had one line in there that was hilarious. This is what he said.
I watched a couple minutes. But
do you remember the game in the playoffs when he knocked out Rich Gannon?
Yeah,
and
in Oakland,
and he body slammed him. He kind of body slammed him. And today, Phil Simms was like, "That's illegal. That's illegal." He said it like 8 times, and Siragusa was just like, "I'm after Simms. You're an idiot." He was all ticked, and he told he said somebody said something about it. Maybe it was Gannon. He said something to him, and he said, like, relax, man. I don't know what you're talking about. My wife, she's a small gal. I get on top of her once a week. She don't complain.
Oh my God. They had that in the 30 for 30.
Okay.
Wow.
It was his humor. It was just like, he's
nice.
He's like,
That's like Larry. I showed you that. I forget who the player was. Maybe it was a Rams player. I was showing you. It was from their NFL Films thing. It's been since taken out, but it was like I was trying to tell you about how he was like just naturally. He said he's like, man, anytime you go upside a man's head or a woman.
Yeah, that was really bad. Dude.
I was in there, and then
Mark Graves, by the way, he said Trae Young might get traded from the Hawks. I could see that.
For the right team,
Travis Schlenk's out of there. Schlenk was the architect there. They got a new GM.
Who would be a team that could use? Who's a team that could use Trae Young that would actually, maybe make them a contender, a championship?
OKC would probably.
Well, they wouldn't be a championship.
I mean, they wouldn't be a contender. I mean, he's not going to go. He don't play any defense. He's not going to win a championship with Trae Young. No way.
I don't think you're winning the title with Trae Young either.
No way.
I mean, there's no team that could really, really use a shooter like.
No. Championship teams play defense. That's it.
Yeah. No, that's why I don't look at that Dallas as a threat.
I can name one team that could use him and they could probably win a championship if they got him without giving up much, and that would be the Heat. And even then, they're not beating the Warriors, but they could win the East if they made a trade. If they gave up nobody important and added Trae Young, I could see the Heat winning the East. I could see that. But
that's interesting.
It would kill their culture, though, because, I mean, they buy in on defense. And to see somebody not buying into that culture would be kind of interesting. But he's a shot maker. The guy can make shots. He's a really good player. But to win championships, man.
Hey, one question that we haven't explored that I do want to get your guys' thoughts on before we get out of here tonight. How good are the Mavericks with Kyrie Irving?
Worse.
I think. I think they finish. They might even be in the play-in game.
They won tonight without him, 124-111 in Utah,
and without Luka, Josh Green.
I think they're better, and I'm gonna tell you why I think they're better. Because now they can play JaVale McGee. They couldn't play him before because they had created this perimeter 4 out, give everybody room type stuff. Now Kyrie doesn't need that. You put the ball in Kyrie's hands, he's going to get in the middle of the lane. Christian Wood now becomes a player that you can put in the dunker's position, and JaVale, you can put in dunker's position. So I think that they're better simply because they don't have to waste a lot of time now. Luka can score in tight windows, and Kyrie's going to get to the cup. So you limit the responsibility of their athletic bigs now and make them more useful. So I'm interested in seeing how Jay Kidd and the rest of his coaches create something that's going to be usable for all of the players on the team.
The only and I look at the playoff situation with the Warriors where they're going to finish. Who knows? I just don't want to see them matched up in the fifth spot playing the Clippers at 4, because that's the one team in the first round that I wouldn't feel great about not having home court. The rest I don't worry about, because they're not going to face Denver or Memphis early on, because I think those two are locked in, 1 and 2. I don't think anybody. I think 3 is still up for grabs with Sacramento. I think the Warriors could conceivably still get 3rd.
Agreed.
Or the Clippers. It's going to be interesting because they're so stacked together, but Utah is at 10 and Portland's at 11. So Wednesday night's game is important just for the fact that you want to pull away from these guys, Portland. I mean, you got them all bunched up. I mean,
and the Pelicans, by the way, are just they were literally a team people were talking about winning the West, gone.
Well, they're 9th now. It changes like daily between 5 and 9 or 10. It's just they keep, rotating.
They don't
Never
have a point guard,
like this.
so they can't play tempo.
So you get Trae Young.
Now,
how does Kyrie and Luka work out?
That's a team for them, huh?
How does Kyrie and Luka coexist?
They
They both want to be on the ball.
They watched the film of 2016 finals and said,
No. What the Mavericks did is they saw what the Nets were doing a couple years ago with Harden, right? Because James Harden and Luka Doncic have very, very similar usage rates. And what the Nets did when they got Harden was Kyrie basically turned into a shooting guard. And it worked.
Yeah,
sort of. I mean, they were winning regular season games, but so I'm guessing that's what the Mavericks saw, and that's the blueprint that they're looking at. Going, okay, we can do this. It's not going to work. I mean, they're going to win games, sure, but in the postseason,
I think the playoffs, postseason, it's a different game. It becomes everything gets tighter defensively. Tougher to.
I think there's some Phil Jackson in there though, because they're looking at quarters now. I mean, there'll be times in which Luka and Kyrie won't be on the court together. And I can think of many games last year when Luka was on the bench and they just went, they went straight down because they didn't have anybody out there to orchestrate their offense. And I would agree that Luka and Kyrie are going to have some challenges coexisting, but you always got a number one option on the court. And they didn't have that before. So I think that's going to be interesting to take a look at within the next couple of weeks to see how it plans out.
The other thing is how does he fit into the Dallas culture? I mean, does he buy in?
Not the mask mandates over there.
Well, I mean, does he buy in with just the whole culture of Dallas itself?
Luka?
I mean, just the whole city, everything, because he's so you don't know what's going to set him off.
He'll probably get into some JFK conspiracies.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe Cuban has a way of getting to his head and saying, look, just play basketball. Do what you want to do outside, but show up to work and you'll be fine.
I think he's going to be good. You know why? Because guys who are super talented, who say, get me out of here, get me there. Kyrie's smart enough to know that he's got to play. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You made your show. You made your, hey, trade me here. Great. They traded you there. Now you got to play. Now you'll be kind of defined by how you play. He knows it. So he's going to play well. I think.
Let me ask you guys this. How much were you happy that he didn't go to the Lakers and that he went to the Mavs?
No.
Yes. Oh, wow.
No. I want him to go to the Lakers.
Yeah. Really? I wanted to see it implode.
I'm a basketball fan.
The Lakers would have had a really big 3, though, that would be very tough.
No, but it would have, think about it. It would have been Kyrie, LeBron on the Lakers.
That would have been awesome.
One more on the Warriors. I I agree. A lot of people have centered on Orlando as the one team that is kind of interesting for the Warriors. And Bouncer says, hey, Orlando Magic has pieces the Warriors want.
Yep.
And I'm just looking at Orlando's team. I'll tell you, I got a couple guys I got to ask you guys about because there's some really good players here, I think. There's talk that they may buy out RJ Hampton.
Ooh, I'd like RJ Hampton.
There's talk that they may buy out Terrence Ross. And then, like, what do you guys think of Cole Anthony? And what about Suggs? Is there any deal that could get them to part with Suggs? I mean, if you're Golden State, there's a lot of interesting players here. I kind of like Mo Bamba. We mentioned Wendell Carter. There's Jonathan Isaac if you want to get somebody making a lot of money. But Orlando is like the one team that has a bunch of intriguing pieces. I'm just kind of what do you guys think of Cole Anthony? What do you guys think of Suggs?
I like Suggs.
I like Suggs a lot.
I'm a big Suggs guy. Not a Cole.
I love him at Gonzaga.
How about Cole?
I'm just happy he's established himself as a professional player, to be quite honest. He doesn't have a position. I don't see anybody playing big minutes with Cole Anthony winning a whole lot of games. But I see him being a part of a team and being a great pro and that type of stuff. But he doesn't have a high ceiling. He really doesn't. He could be an Austin Rivers type of player, which is certainly not bad. Austin's been in the league for 10 years now. Cole's a tough-minded guy, but he's not going to be a starter for you, and he's not going to be a major player, I don't think.
The one that pains me is I seem to remember there was a lot of James Wiseman to the Bulls for Wendell Carter and sort of buzz. Like there was possibly even already a deal in structure. Yeah. And just kind of I don't know. I like Wendell Carter.
I would love that for the Warriors. That would be great for the Warriors.
Would you rather have Isaac or Carter?
Oh, Carter. For me, 100%.
I love Isaac too.
Would you be interested in this deal? Wiseman and Moody for Franz Wagner.
They're not moving Franz.
That's not realistic.
I don't think they would, but
how about this one? This one's being rumored, and it's not a Warrior trade, but it is interesting. It would be the Nets and the Raptors, and it would be sending Ben Simmons to Canada with Nick Claxton in a deal for Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet.
Ooh, Jesus, that's kind of scary.
Oh, wow.
That makes the Nets a contender.
Yeah.
Right there. Like if they keep KD and they make that move, that's a different story.
What was that deal? I was reading the chat.
It was Ben Simmons and Nick Claxton and more going to Toronto. And then Toronto would send Siakam and Fred VanVleet to the Nets.
Nets are a contender. They do that.
That's a fleece job. That reminds me of the white chocolate for Mike Bibby trade. I was laughing for 2 hours on the radio when someone called me up. They said, who do you think got the better of this trade, the Kings or the Grizzlies? I just laughed. I was like, are you out of your mind?
Where would OG fit into that? Because he's rumored also everything.
He's a good player.
He's a good player.
A lot of people say the Suns badly want him.
I misspoke on the Wagner. I meant Mo Wagner. He's the younger one, right? Mo?
It's Wagner, by the way. It's Wagner.
Wagner. Mo's the younger one, right?
Clout.
No, Mo's the older one.
Yeah.
Mo's the older one who played at Michigan.
Came out 2 years ago.
Franz is the younger one who played at Michigan.
Yeah, that's the one I like.
Mo's a center. Franz is a gigantic small forward.
I think Franz is a better player, yeah.
They love him. He's going nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Orlando's.
If you can get Franz Wagner, you can have Moody, you can have Wiseman. You know what I mean? Because he's playing well. Yeah. Franz Wagner.
Would you? Yeah. You wouldn't give up Kuminga for Franz? That's a tough one because I like love both. But I agree. No. I think you got to keep Kuminga just because he's already bought in.
You know what? Another guy who they say Bojan says Warriors should trade for Bojan Bogdanovic.
Makes too much money. They have to get rid of.
But I'll tell you who I know the Warriors love is Bogdanovic.
Yeah, both. Yeah, Bogdan with the Pistons.
Bogdan is a guy the Warriors have liked for years.
But he makes a lot of money. I don't know if he could.
19 million, I think. They'd have to trade one of their big guys.
I still like the Tybal trade. I still would do
Moody.
If they would do that.
I think the Warriors do need. I don't know if they need to make a move at the deadline because I think the buyout market may provide them with exactly what they want.
I don't think
because everybody's
going
to want to
anywhere.
join them, right?
I watched that Knicks game yesterday. He was in the game quite a bit. He played quite
Who?
a bit for him.
Who?
Tybal.
Well, they're probably showcasing him.
Yeah, exactly. But like Larry, I like your your inference on Terrence Ross. I mean, Terrence Ross is an interesting player. He's probably going to get bought out. I think somebody's going to snatch him up. I don't know who it is, but he's a guy who you know what you're going to get. He's going to come off the bench and give you buckets. And, when you have a veteran team like the Warriors have, you need somebody to come off the bench and just give you buckets, So I don't know if the Warriors is a team, but I think he's a good player.
He's 32 now, but he's an athlete, man. He's strong.
I have a little bit of a wild card one just because I've always wanted him on the Warriors somehow. Is there any way of getting slow-mo on the Warriors? Is that possible?
He likes Anderson.
Anderson's got tickets? No,
he can't shoot. That's his problem.
Which one? Kyle Anderson?
Kyle Anderson, yeah.
Oh, he can't shoot.
Who cares?
Good
And
player.
Minnesota's not moving him, I don't think. Not to the Warriors, anyways. That would surprise me. I don't know.
Dang it.
That's a random one.
Yeah.
He's good. I'd like him.
Do you think it's going to be a busy Thursday trade deadline or not a lot of action?
I think busy. Larry, you haven't mentioned
Korkmaz for the Sixers develop Furkan. He demanded a trade today. You saw that.
Larry, you went a whole show without mentioning Sadiq Bey. I'm impressed and maybe a little worried.
I'm not.
I'm wondering
The
if
show's not over yet.
You think the Warriors?
I think I did mention Sadiq Bey earlier.
Yeah,
I would love the Warriors are that team, that Western Conference team that offered multiple twos for Vanderbilt because they have been talking about. They've been in talks, and that's one thing the Warriors have is they have twos from 25 through 29. They have a second round available.
Got all kinds of twos.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you guys today. Did you guys see Stephen A. Smith, Jay Williams?
Yes.
Yes.
I loved it.
Was it epic?
it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can we're not allowed to play that, right?
That was very awkward.
Yes, you are allowed to.
Know what they?
Yes, you are.
What they call that? That call, like the new phrase now is like when you son somebody.
Yeah.
Stephen A. sunned him, and and I didn't like it.
Do?
It's called sunning someone. It's like you're treating him like a son, like you sunned him.
Because it's his show.
Yeah, you know what, man? I mean, I didn't like it because it was awkward, but it was
awkward.
real. And
You see Legler? Legler's like,
he was like, yeah, exactly.
I don't like Jay Williams.
you didn't know what
I
to
don't
do.
either. I don't either. Bye, Red.
Uh-oh.
Oh, bye, Brad.
Peace out, bro.
I didn't. I had another tab open. I didn't realize.
Oh, did you kick him out, Ryan?
I think he probably hit it. He probably hit it by mistake.
Oh, there
Frank,
he
what
is.
happened?
There he is.
I got big fingers, man.
Yeah.
I got really big hands and really big fingers.
I got average hands, and I'm okay with that.
That explains why Danny's never done that.
My bad.
So what were you saying, Red? Go ahead.
Well, basically, Stephen A. was just embarrassed the guy. He was like, you're out of your mind and stuff like this. I think he disrespected him, and I didn't like that. With that said, Jay Will accused Stephen A. of being personal with Kyrie,
Yes.
and I thought that was wrong.
Yes.
And I think that Jay Will comes off like somebody who is always kind of like thinking about protecting relationships that he has.
Right.
And that kind of gets in the way of him being on First Take and just putting it out there. And, Stephen A., I think, kind of honed in on that. But how he talked to him, I thought it was disrespectul.
And just to add to that, so somebody Larry and I used to work with way back in the day. I don't want to say the name just because it's a source and they get in trouble if I revealed it. But Larry, I'll tell you off the air who it is. But a source within ESPN
secrets. I love secrets.
told me directly, and I had to confirm from a second source.
Hear about Susie?
That most people in ESPN do not like Jay Williams, and they don't understand the decision to give him the platform that he has because. I mean, he did nothing in the NBA. So it's not like he's like this ex-NBA player who did amazing things. He was fine at Duke, but it never translated to the NBA. But his opinions
he got
are
no
just
motorcycle
asinine.
accident.
And he has asinine opinions, man. I've heard him, like, for example, I remember one time he this was a few years ago. He was like, the Warriors, they don't have anyone on their coaching staff who knows anything about defense, right? He forgot Ron Adams exists. Like, Ron Adams is a defensive specialist.
Right.
Jay Williams is
no, I just think Jay Williams is weak.
Yes.
And I loved what was the phrase that Stephen A called him out for?
Interesting. He said, "You always say you."
You always say something's interesting. Just say what you gotta say. He basically was like, kind of attacked his manhood.
Yeah,
because that's what he did. Because I mean, seriously, if you're always saying, say it again, Danny.
He goes, "You're always saying interesting."
Yeah. You know what's interesting to me? That is a super passive aggressive thing, because anything could be interesting.
And then Jay Williams goes, "I get paid to be interesting."
Yeah. and then he called him on it, and then Stephen A had to backtrack because he's like, "What? I can't say things are interesting?" He's like, "You can." But
Molly kept interjecting, and she almost made it worse, because every time she interjected, she confirmed that this was like a real fight, because she kept saying,
exactly.
Down,
that's so accurate.
Down.
But it would have been so much better if that's what I love about Kellerman, is that, sometimes you just got to call people out. If you want to call somebody out, call them out. Don't try to do it in some soft pedal way. We know it's the Stephen A. Smith show, but I think this is how you do it. Hey, Stephen A., love you, but it seems kind of personal with Jay Will. Is it personal, bro? Or do you have, do
you mean with Kyrie?
Because I got to be honest, Stephen A., it sounds a little personal. It sounds, because that's really what he meant to say. That's what he wanted to say. But just come out and say it. I think you sound like you're personally wrapped up in this. Are you wrapped up in this, Stephen A.?
Nah, I sleep well at night. Don't you dare
throw it in his face that way directly, like, man to man. Just like, if you want to say it, say it. And that part I did understand. I did kind of side with Stephen A., because he was like kind of basically saying, you're such a wimp to sit there and kind of, phrase things and frame things in this like anti-antagonistic way. It's
Larry,
like, come on.
Larry, you're absolutely right. And I'm going to say this. It bothers me because Jay Williams was one of my favorite players in the history of college basketball. This dude was unbelievable. And, he got hurt. He made a bad decision, and things kind of changed. And he does kind of come off kind of political. And it's like when you are on television doing what he does, you can't do that. Half of the people are not going to agree with you. They're not going to like you. And the other people are going to be like, yeah, well, I don't like you, but I agree with your thesis. And that's what it's all about. And I think that sometimes when you hear him talk, 'cause he's a really smart guy, but it appears that he's protecting relationships. And, you can't do that. If you don't want to speak your mind, then you shouldn't be on television. And
be honest about that. Be honest about the fact that you have relationships, because otherwise you just are speaking down to your audience. Because
everybody does it to a degree. Sorry to cut you off, Ryan. Everybody does it to a degree, but I think it's. Here's the thing. Larry. I don't like Jay Will. I just think Jay Williams is just. I think there's nothing behind his statements.
Agreed.
And the only reason I say that is because I think he's kind of BS, because when I hear him talk about my team, he's not right. So then I just don't believe him on any team, right? So that's that. But as far as Stephen A., I think Stephen A. in a way is kind of wrong to go at him from the standpoint. Stephen A. did this entire ridiculous segment just a couple weeks ago about Dana White, and he didn't say a GD word about Dana White hitting his wife. And him and that Molly whatever were sitting there, trying to offer excuses for Dana White's domestic violence. And just why? Because Dana White's got a big relationship with the UFC, and obviously he and ESPN and everybody, it's all incestual. It's like, come on, either ignore the story altogether or address it seriously, but to try to like shape your opinions into, you know, I mean, if you saw that segment a couple weeks ago, it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It was
Agreed.
absolutely embarrassing. And it's like, you ask yourself, why even have a segment on Dana White if you're going to basically look away from his domestic violence? I mean, come on, and apologize for it because what? He's a valuable asset to ESPN. I mean, come on, man. That's a little too much for the Shield for me.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to this. You come at the king, you best not miss. You know, he had some material. He had some material to go at Stephen A with, but he didn't put it all together.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. It's interesting because you guys have some interesting points. There are certain people that I know in the sports world that I will never say a bad word about, and I will say straight up, I'm not saying anything bad about my boy or somebody that I know.
That's what you gotta say.
I'm not gonna do it.
And it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I can be
It's not happening. You know, especially if I'm not paying them and they know that they're coming on the show for me, and I'm gonna rip my boy or some young lady that I know that's helping me out. Hell no, I'm not doing it. So I'm not gonna get on there and act like I'm dancing around the topic. Like you said, I won't deal with it. I'll just say, I'll be honest. I'm not dogging my guy. Period.
You know what? Sometimes I forget who, you know, I'll give you one that I was a little bit critical of Josh Johnson after the Niners lost.
Mm-hmm.
And he's repped by my good friend, you know? And, you know, I contacted my good friend. I'm like, hey, man, I'd love to have your Niner clients on the show. And he's like, hey, man, why you about a bag on Josh? And it's like, you know what?
He's right.
He's right. Now I'm not going to say it.
Baker, his agent?
No, it's not.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
But you know, it doesn't really matter. But I'm just saying, you know, his agent is my friend, and now he's kind of like, hey, man, you kind of was ripping Josh. I actually tried to make a clear delineation that I didn't think it was like his fault that they lost, but when he came in, I thought the game was over, and I really felt that way, and I shared that thought with the audience over and over again. And there's almost no way to not be bashing, you know what I mean? Right. Or at least the perception of, you know, hey, the game turned when your client came in, you know what I mean? It's like, I didn't really bash him. In my mind, I wasn't being critical of him. I was just describing honestly how I felt, but I can understand where he's coming from going, hey man, why'd you got to frame it that way? You know? So, and I just kind of forgotten that my buddy repped him, you know, I was thinking solely as 49er, you know, media person or 49er cover person. I wasn't thinking about, you know, who a good buddy of mine reps. So, you know, I do understand. I'll say this. You ain't much in this world if you can't stand up and protect your friends. So that's the way I've always felt. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what? You don't stand for crap if you can't stand up for your friends. So, you know, I stood up for Grant Napier when Grant Napier got run out of Sacramento. Why? Because Grant Napier is my friend. And I'm not saying that everything he did was right or that he was a great guy or whatever. I'm just going to stand up for my friends. You know, obviously, if my friends broke the law and did something truly heinous, that I'd have to make a judgment call there. But you know what I'm saying? I think I respect people who stand up for their friends and don't just run when the spot gets hot. You know what I mean? And
I would never rip my friends. Never.
Yeah.
I will tell the truth, but I will not rip my friends. I won't. I mean, because this is a job, man. I mean, this is what they do for a living. It doesn't have anything to do with like their character, and that means more to me than trying to get some clicks on a radio show or a television show. And that's why we're friends. That's why you have friends, because they know that loyalty is both ways. And if you really needed your friend's going to be there for you. So, you know, it's a value lesson. I think that it's a part of sports. But for somebody to just rip their friend, nah.
Kevin F. says you haven't had Grant on your show in ages. I'll get him on tomorrow.
It's football.
Nice, dude. Nice.
I'm getting him on tomorrow morning now just because of you.
Can you talk about the story?
Morning.
Like, can you discuss why he's no longer?
If you don't like that, you don't like the Krueg show.
Interesting.
Can you explain why he's no longer the Kings play-by-play? Is that a touchy subject?
He got into it with DeMarcus.
What?
No,
And
it wasn't that.
It was about BLM and Grant said all lives matter, and it was and a bunch of people went off on Grant, and he got replaced, and the radio station dumped him, and the Kings dumped him, and they replaced him with a couple different people. I'm even sure if the radio station has even fully replaced him, but
I will say this:
he lived there for a while, then moved out to Florida, and he's happy in Florida. But yeah,
I heard
that's
him
what
describe it. All he was saying is, "Hey, look, you know me, Larry. I grew up in back east, and he talked about."
I know who Grant is, and I know Grant cares about all people.
Yeah,
but
that's all he was saying.
There were
all
people at the
matter.
time who voiced their opinions: Matt Barnes, Chris Webber, and DeMarcus, and either their voices were heard louder than Grant's, or people in the power seats felt that the spot was too hot. I don't know what the deal was.
Well, would you agree, Larry?
Let's just say this. They had their stories about Grant, but I'll say this. I know Grant, and I worked for him. I was his intern at Channel 31, and I've seen him around all people, white people, black people. I never saw any indication of Grant saying anything inappropriate to anybody ever.
But would you agree, Larry, that when you're in a position like Grant Napier's, the smart move is just not to touch a subject like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's because if you get into politics,
sure, but it shouldn't have cost him his career, your life's work, and your body. Let's just say this: I just really believe always, in all situations, your body of work should speak for you.
Agreed.
More than anything,
and I'm not a supporter.
I think his body of work didn't speak.
And I'm not a cancel culture kid either. Like that, I don't believe in that. I don't subscribe to that. But it's just, dude, because he's his position. I just don't see how it benefits him or anyone to start being opinionated. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're like a play-by-play guy, it'd be like Mark Jones.
Well, I'll say this. You know what? It's a very difficult job.
Mark Jones,
a very difficult job. What I'm saying, not being an announcer, I'm not saying that's easy, but to be a play-by-play guy with a team, embedded with the team, so you're standing there on the tarmac with these guys, and you have a talk show where you have to talk to the public and be the face, the front, face, the public face of a franchise, and answer questions about the team. I don't envy that person. That's a very difficult spot to be in. There's very few guys who do it. I mean, Michael Kay in New York, right? Isn't he have a show on the Yes where he takes calls and he's the announcer? Mm-hmm. Dave Fleming has filled in on talk shows.
Yeah.
Dave's I think Dave's maybe the best at it. Fitz has done it.
Yeah.
Grant did it, but it's difficult, man. It's difficult to cover every player, cover it professionally, not have any harsh opinions that make any player unhappy, or any wife or girlfriend of any player unhappy, and still talk to Bob and El Dorado Hills and listen to Bob, Sam and Loomis. And
Larry,
it's hard.
Larry, I mean, you got to, but look, I mean, I know Grant's your friend, and again, I'm not supporting anyone getting fired. I don't like the cancel culture thing. Mark Jones replaced him, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Yeah. No, I know who replaced him.
You got to read the room a little bit too. Saying all lives matter when you're an NBA guy, is that, I mean, I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do, man. Well, I wouldn't touch it. If that's what you believe, I think he would have been better served just not touching that, man. Because
there's no doubt.
Let me say this, because Grant and I work for the same station. I actually work at KSGK, and like Larry said, he's never said anything anywhere near racially insensitive to me or any other person of color that I've ever heard. But I think that he had built up an audience that expected certain things from him, and the sports society was changing around him, and he didn't necessarily have an opportunity to evolve, or he didn't notice that this thing was happening around him. Sac was a small market. It's not a small market anymore. The NBA was kind of a nice little league. Niche. It's not anymore. This is a $1 billion business.
Huge. It's huge.
And I think that for 1 second, he didn't realize that. And it's unfortunate because, like you said before, you know what? I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't believe in it. I believe in forgiveness. And did he do some things wrong? Yes, he did. But we all do things wrong. I don't understand why he can't show empathy and say, listen, I wish I'd done things differently, but he's great at his job. He's a great announcer. I think he would be even better if he had a second opportunity. Like, I want Mark Jackson to get a head coaching job because I've known Mark since we were teenagers. I want Grant Napier to have a career because he's great at what he does. So that's my take on it.
He made a mistake, though. He needed to be better. He needed to be more aware. He made a mistake. He's paying a pretty good price for it, for sure.
Huge price. That's the other side.
I just want to say, because I know that we're talking about a guy. Sometimes we're just talking about people in the public eye.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're talking about people that we actually know.
But
I've actually known this guy. I was in college and spent time around him socially, and I've seen him with players, I've seen him with media, I've seen him with fans, I've seen him on campus, I've been to his house, I've thrown the ball around with him, the lacrosse ball on campus at Sac State. I've known him for years, and he was a good guy. He really was a good guy, and this was a bad moment for him. But
Larry said
anyway,
so I don't think he's a good guy anymore, but he was a good guy at one point.
No, he is.
Right?
He is a good guy.
I'm kidding. No, but there is the other side of it too, which is, of course, that it's fucked up. Like, for him to lose his livelihood, his career over this, that's really messed up too, man. I mean, there are. This is not a black and white simple issue. Clearly, like
no. I mean, it's
kind of different issues of time. You look at what Marv Albert did and what he was caught up doing.
He's S&M, right? Is that what he was into?
He was doing all kinds of weird stuff on hotels.
Yeah, you know what? In hindsight, probably goes over a little better nowadays. Sex positive.
Chips and whips and
so, I mean, what he did, and then it's just kind of different.
But we
times.
got into this discussion because we were talking about Stephen A. and Jay Will, right?
Yeah.
And I will say this, and Frank probably knows it best from living in New York and going to Fordham, being out there in that market and experiencing FAN. There's a little bit of like certain guys are going to be put through the ringer of the Northeast anger media, whether it's in Philly, Boston, New York. If you're on the script that day, you stepped in S or you said something wrong, they're going to town, man. Mm-hmm. They're just going to town on you. And the only thing I will say about what Jay Will said to Stephen A. that is absolutely true, and this is why it's so weak that he kind of soft pedaled it and they got into this discussion and then Stephen A. is slapping him around, is that Stephen A. buys into that, and certain guys, people feel like they have license to go after in a huge way. And Kyrie Irving is one of those guys. Mm-hmm. And so you can just say anything you want on Kyrie Irving and call him all kind, because he's flat earth and, this and that. But I mean, whatever. He's got strong opinions about a number of things, about, from the vaccine to mandates and everything else. And people just went to town on him. And he's not wrong on everything he said, but you know what? Nobody wants to give him any. And it's just like, he's a guy that everybody feels free to just verbally drag around. And Jay Will was pushing back because he knows it's true. And he wouldn't, because it was Stephen A.'s show and Stephen A. is the big money making guy there. And Jay Will knows that. He didn't want to do it in like a harsh way. So he kind of did it in kind of a weak way. And then Stephen A. called him out on that. And then it became about, you're weak. No, I'm not. You're weak. But ultimately, there was a truism in there, which is people in the Northeast media love the anger sports talk radio. It's not about, hey, let's take a few calls and talk to some people and have a little fun. That's what I want to do. That's what you guys want to do. But that's not what happens on WFAN, WIP.
I actually like it, Larry. I like that. I like that style. They go after it. I was in a cab one time in Philadelphia, and this caller, I get in the car, and the guy's listening to WIP, and this guy asked the host, he's a caller, he's like, hey, I want to talk about Tyson Chandler. And he's like, what about Tyson Chandler? And he's like, this about Tyson Chandler and that about Tyson Chandler. He goes, you know what? I'm really tired of hearing about Tyson Chandler. And he's like, then all of a sudden, the caller goes, one more on Tyson Chandler. I got a question for you. Blankety blank. One more on Tyson Chandler. And he goes, hey, Bob, I got a question for you. And he's like, oh, yeah, what is it? He's like, why don't you shut up? And the cab driver looks over his shoulder. Doing that.
Cab driver looks over his shoulder and he goes, man, these guys are great. These guys are freaking great.
But Franklin
I remember Franklin. He would go crazy.
Yeah, he'd hang up on people. And then there's Scotty Farrell was flushing people.
Oh, Scotty Farrell, yeah, he was.
But there's an anger to it, and they take their shots. Once one guy jumps in, it's a pile-on fest, and it's really, compared to what we have out here, we would call that an overtly negative, cynical conversation.
Yeah.
Somebody here is not going to get that angry. They're going to get kind of pissed. They're going to fire off a tweet. They're going to get on their tandem bicycle with their wife and pedal through Napa.
I think that's why
I lived in Connecticut for 7 years and listened to the Fan. Oh my goodness. When Mike and Mad Dog were in their heyday, oh, those guys would go off. I mean, Francesca would just lose. And then Mad Dog would just rattle off a million words in 3 seconds. He says, Mike, you don't do it to me, Mike. Just screaming at each other. And they would, they were ready to go to blows, it seemed like. I love it.
But Stephen A. Smith, even in that segment today, said it. And I agree. He was like, because Jay Williams accused him of being angry. He's like, why are you so angry? And Stephen A's like, I'm not angry about this. I'm passionate about this. And there's just a special level of sports.
But no, it is. It's anger. It's not. It's an act. I really think it's an act, but it's an act of anger. You're not acting. You're not.
He doesn't see that way.
You're acting
Larry.
angry.
But from his perspective, it's not. I don't think Stephen A. Smith sees it as him being angry. I think I know he doesn't. He's principled. I mean, the Kyrie thing, because I was watching all of those episodes when because Kyrie really became polarizing, especially because of the vaccine, right? I mean, the flat earther thing got me. I legitimately still hate him for the flat earther stuff because he has so much influence. And for a year of his life, he was influencing millions of people to take such a ridiculous postmodern approach of question everything, question if the earth is flat. That shit drove me insane. That is pure ignorance, and you're influencing other people and spreading ignorance. That bugged me a lot. But the vaccine thing, Stephen A. Smith was very principled on it. And what bothered him is that Kyrie opposed his employer, right? And that was really the big part of this, is that Stephen A. is like, look, I work for Disney. We all have to do it. And this guy has the audacity in his position of influence to sit here and send a message to everyone else that because I believe this, I don't have to do what my employer tells me to do. And that I could sense that.
I got to give Kyrie credit, though, for standing up and being principled.
Depends. I don't know. I think
I gave him a lot of credit because to me, he didn't play, and he believed. He believed in what he believed, whether you agree with him or not. He stood on his principles. But what if you believe in
Satan, Dan? I mean, this whole discrediting science is utter outrage.
But Cyrus, his employer gave him a choice, though. I mean, I got vaccinated, and most people got vaccinated, but his employer did give him a choice. And he chose not to do it. I don't. I mean, listen.
I mean, you got to stand. If a guy believes that much in his health and his future, and he was really genuinely believed that it was not a good thing for him.
Based on what, Dan? Based on what? That's the part that is.
Aaron Rodgers did the same thing, but
Right.
I'll say this. I'll say this.
There's lots. I'm vaccinated, but there's lots of people in America who did not get vaccinated.
There's a lot of evidence,
right. But
that
everyone who made that decision based it on information that lacked utter complete validity. Like there's nothing that's shown that the vaccine is bad for you. There is no, I mean,
come on, Cy, there's a lot of evidence out there, whether you agree with it or not. I mean, there's a lot of doctors.
What are you? We're going to get into some huge vaccine discussion on the middle of our live stream.
I will get into discussion where if the experts are telling you one thing, and then who knows who.
There's lots of people that don't believe in the vaccine, that don't think they were great, that thinks I'm vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. I got the vaccine.
Well, this is an old issue now.
At the end of the day, I don't want to hear anybody tell me that. I'm not going to tell you that I did the right thing, but don't tell me that you did the right thing. I don't want to hear anybody tell anybody they did the right thing. We all have hope that we did the right thing. We don't have anything more than hope. So as far as this whole, all this arrogance about I did the right thing and everybody doesn't do what I did is a fucking idiot. I'm not there. So
I'm not calling them idiots.
That's in a different. That's
I'm not calling them idiots, but at what point, why was every other vaccine okay? But we live in an era now where misinformation causes all of this, right? Like there was no social media 30 years ago where you can literally read misinformation left and right and start believing whatever crazy shit you believe in. And so I'm sorry. My principle is I don't want to live in a society where everyone's believing whatever they want to believe in.
That's called America.
Well, yeah,
that's
fine. But when your decisions affect me, I have a right to have a problem with it. All these unvaccinated people were just walking around potentially sick. And not to mention, they're going off information that went against what the experts were saying. That bothered me, man. I'm sorry. It bothered me. At this point, I could care less, man. This thing's an old story. But at that point, when Kyrie was
I think I
didn't like it. I didn't like it.
It's a weird thing, but Kyrie is not the right person to be. But I understand completely the argument from Kyrie's point of view. It's just Kyrie wasn't the right person to.
I don't because this is the same person who's proven to be anti-Semitic, who's proven to
Squally. Come save us.
He burns sage in a locker room because he thinks that'll ward off bad energy. Dude, he's a nut job, man. He's a nut job. Plain and simple.
Phil Jackson burns sage too.
All right. Well, then take that one example out and let's focus on flat earther.
I'm cool with people believing weird shit.
Publishing anti-Semitic videos. And not a big deal.
I don't root against people. I really don't. And
I have a problem with ignorance. I do, man. I have a huge problem with ignorance, dude. It bugs the shit out of me. And what's worse is we're living in a society where less and less people are being educated. So ignorance is just spreading. And for some reason, people are okay with this. I'm not. This is a subject.
I think you should have me on your on Locked On Warriors.
I don't Locked On at all because
you're an independent thinker, though. How about promoting independent thinkers, though? I mean, this idea that Kyrie influences. Kyrie doesn't influence me.
Right,
I like to watch him play basketball. He doesn't influence me. But why is that, though? Why is that?
We all live in a society. You engage with people left and right. You have to. So a lot of other people out there are being influenced by him and making decisions according to that. That bothers me, man. They're some people out there.
Besides, people have a right to say what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the flat earth stuff is total ignorance, but that should, if anything, that should discredit somebody. And if you feel like somebody's so discredited that they actually think the earth is flat, then why are you spending any time getting mad about anything they say?
Because there are a lot of people in this world who are still very ignorant themselves, and they just believe whatever the fuck they read, man.
Nobody's listening to a pro athlete to get their thoughts on the shape of the planet or who should be vaccinated.
Exactly.
I think most people consulted a doctor. I don't think they consult Kyrie Irving for
You'd be surprised, man. If that's what you believe, then we disagree. A lot of people, millions of people in this world listen literally. If what Kyrie Irving says, they're like, I love you. Okay, fine, I believe you. There are so many people who do in fact act like that.
He'd be one of the last guys I would listen to for any kind of
a lot of people
advice.
Do, man. A lot of people do.
But I would make my own decision. I think people who, whatever their choice was, if they did their research And as Larry said, they felt good about what decision they made, whether they got the vaccine or didn't get the vaccine. Like that to me is like, hey, that's what America is. I don't want to live in a country where I'm forced to do something because then all of a sudden I'm living in, I don't want to be in North Korea.
I'm sorry if vaccine makes you feel like you live in North Korea, Dan. I didn't realize they should.
No, I mean, a forced vaccine would make me feel like I was in North Korea. I mean, if they're coming to jab me or something like that and hold me down against my will.
Oh,
I'm not.
Chiguayo says the last chat of the night here. Chiguayo says, what happened with the Grizzlies being investigated by the NBA because supposedly one of his crew was pointing red lasers at some
that's
Pacers
crazy.
personnel.
John Morant was, yep.
That's ugly.
It was John Morant was leaving a Pacers game and he was with an entourage.
But people were making it sound like it was a laser from a gun.
Well, it probably was. That's what the investigation is.
I have a laser. Yeah.
They had a disagreement, and Kyrie Irving was with his entourage, and they started pointing out of the car these red lasers at the Pacers employees. And the Pacers employees said on record that they think that those were in fact lasers coming from the targets of guns. And that's where we're at. It's like Jaw for some reason it got successful and rich and decided to go this direction, man. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, Memphis is a small city, and a lot of things happen there. And I mean, I credit the NBA for getting on top of it though, because they will. I mean, the NBA and these professional organizations, they don't play, so they'll shut that down real quick.
Hey guys, it's 5 after midnight, so we're going to let everybody go.
Right.
Cy, you got a final thought?
No. I feel like we went way too far into that subject, but I do think Kyrie Irving is an idiot. I will stand on that molehill till the end of time that he's just a really dumb person. With that said, man, thanks for having me on as always.
All right, man. We'll talk soon. The great Cy. Red, you gonna jump?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump, fellas. Always a pleasure. Thank you, and engaging conversation. And I want to thank the supporters out there, man. You got an incredible army of Krueg Show listeners, and it's beautiful
Chat
to see
just
the growth.
rolls.
I'm proud of the chat.
Continues to roll.
Proud of the chat.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night,
Frank. All
All right,
right.
guys. You want to hang out for a minute or two, and we'll play a couple spots and come back with a couple final thoughts and wrap this one up. I got a couple thoughts I got to throw towards Danny, and we'll move off of the vaccine and you. Coming up more on the Krueg Show. But first, this.
Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thank And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
Hey, Pasquale. Dan Cochimilio here for the Krueg Show. Just picked up for the very first time some of your New York style Italian sausage here at Sam's Club in Arizona. My wife just cooked it and I'm about to take a bite. Man, this is good. Pasquale, when you winked and said you guaranteed we love it, you're right. This stuff is absolutely amazing. Best sausage I've ever tasted. Thank you, Pasquale.
All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show, everybody. 12:12 on a Monday night. We're 2.5 hours plus into our live stream.
You went mute. You muted yourself.
Sorry about that.
There we are.
I gotta change my mic. I got mic problems. Mic problems, Danny.
I heard Grant bought a new one. He said he tweeted out he bought a new one. Maybe you can get his old one. Grant Cohn.
Old one is this one. I mean, it's the same kind. I mean, same one that you and I have.
We could go to Guitar Center. I actually have a $200 and some odd store credit.
Blue Yeti is what I'm got now. I need something better than the Blue Yeti.
Yeah, that's what I have. The blue.
You get the MV7.
Really?
I like Rye's setup where he's got the little thing that kind of the arm and everything. There we go. Yeah.
What's that connected to?
Tour?
A stand?
No, so it's just connected to my
desk.
Yeah. And then it's connected to the Roadcaster.
It is nice to stand.
It is nice.
I typically sit.
Oh yeah, I try and I see when you're at the game, you stand. I have to stand a lot lately because the chair starts after a couple hours. It hurts my sciatic. Just starts putting pressure on.
Yeah, I prefer to stand if I can, depending how long the show is. But if it's a 4-hour, 5-hour show, sometimes at night I don't want to stand. But I got a nice, comfortable chair here in my studio.
Oh, I'm in my right now.
Couple of things here as we're coming down the stretch. Now, we got into a lot of hot topics here. Mark Graves is like, politics don't belong here. I kind of agree. And this is like my philosophy about sports radio. And this is not sports radio, but I come, as you guys all know, from a background of sports radio, and I still do sports radio. So I am a sports radio guy at my core. And I just never, it's not that I don't have political thoughts. I just don't want to talk about politics on a sports show. And unfortunately, one of the things I hated the most about the last few years is it became like there is no show that, that should not talk about politics. And it's like, no, there are shows that should not talk about politics. And I've never wanted to talk about politics. If I don't want to get into a political debate. I have political opinions like everybody else, but I don't have the same conviction about my politics as I do about my sports. I'm more open-minded. I'm more moderate than I am. I'm more strident with my sports than I am with politics. So I don't believe that like my opinions are right. You know what I mean? I just think they're my opinions, right? And so I don't really want to share them, but I'm not afraid to share them, but I don't really want to share them because I don't want to pretend that that you care about my opinions about politics, because I don't care about any of your opinions about politics. I mean, does that sound terrible? But I just don't. I don't care about what people say about politics, and I don't care about sharing what I think about politics. It just doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It's just not something I want to do on the show. And it's not accidental, by the way. I don't talk about, religion. I don't typically get into racial debates. In this show, we got into something that was like, I guess you could say had racial overtones. And then we got into, this vaccine discussion because Kyrie came up.
The dusting of religion with Mark Jackson as well.
Yeah, there was a dusting of religion, but it's just like, I know those are salacious topics, and I know I know there are people that run to those topics. That's just not me. It's just not me. I don't run from them, as you can tell. Otherwise we wouldn't have talked about them. But I don't run towards them, and I don't really want to talk about them. And I don't want to share my thoughts, and I don't really want to hear yours. And it's not that I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? It's not that I don't care, but I don't care. I just know that there's people that are to the left. There's people that are to the right. There's people that think this guy's great. There's people that think that guy's great. I get it. I know. That's fine. It's awesome. I kind of think like Danny thinks that the differing of opinions, it makes the world go round. And I definitely didn't want to get into the whole vaccine thing.
Some of the chats in the Cyrus Fauci.
I just think that there's enough questions to not feel good on either side. So that's where I stand. I don't know how everybody else stands. G-Code Travel Vlog says, with Chris Kocherik staying with the Niners, Drake Jackson benefiting big season.
Hey, that's a huge move that they re-signed him, because had he left, and let's say they tried to keep the same defense, it wouldn't be, I mean, the intensity that he has every day, like the players say, he doesn't change. He's just always, fired up. That would have been a huge loss to the guys. Bosa's been there with him his whole career. Armstead's been there for a while now with him, and Drake Jackson and Hyder and all these guys. I mean, they love playing for him. And I'm glad he's staying as a D line and not even, I would have rather see him there than as the D coordinator. I think Wilkes would be really good because he's passionate and he's relatable. I saw him saw something on him today where he got the game ball, the last game for the Panthers.
Yeah, and he seemed like it was a pretty united room for sure.
Yeah. And they played well, the Panthers, the last half of the season with him.
We also have this one in the chat that caught my eye. A lot of people commenting on politics, and I get it. A bouncer, though, says, talking about the Giants, they signed Sean Newcomb. The Giants put out their non-roster invitee list today.
Yeah.
And the one name that was on there that made me go, wow, was Sean Newcomb, the lefty who was a Brave and then was the Angels. He was a Connecticut high school phenom, back in the day. And he's a little bit older now, but he's not old. And his stuff is good. I would not be surprised at all if Sean Newcomb made the Giant roster this year or made some kind of impact this year. But there's some other interesting names on these non-roster invitee lists. Joe Ross, Vaughn Brown, Stephen Piscotty. You saw that today?
Yeah.
Casey Schmidt, Colton Welker, Roberto Perez. So, I think that's interesting. I think that's really interesting that I like the Piscotty pickup.
Piscotty.
It's a move for backup depth at Sacramento. And, if somebody goes down, which always happens, I think he would be one of the first guys possibly up. They'd have to create a 40-man roster spot, but Farhan is pretty good at that. Creating. I mean, he juggles that back into the roster almost daily. There's one interesting thing that I was reading this weekend. It was on The Athletic, and it was 5 guys to watch in the Giants system. And one of the guys is Keaton Wynn, who's on the 40-man roster as a right-handed starting pitcher. He had to be protected from the Rule 5 draft. They say he's got a nasty cutter or splitter like Cobb and Gosman.
They took him in the minor league portion of the Rule 5?
No, he was in the Giants organization, and they protected him so he didn't get.
Oh, they protected him. I guess
they protected him, Matos, and Luciano because they were all. So Keaton Wynn is a guy that will probably at some point be pitching this year for the Giants.
Interesting. That's an interesting name too. The other thing I think that kind of
mute again.
I've muted myself a couple times. Anytime I touch this microphone at all, it mutes.
Really? Where do you touch the little button in the front?
It's like I've got.
It's only if you have large fingers,
large hands. Yeah.
Really be physical with it, Danny, and I'm very cool with my microphone.
I didn't really have
I did a video today that that we'll be putting out on the channel tomorrow, and it was about the Giants. I was looking at the Giants, and I'm like, the Giants don't have any outside of Joey Bart. They don't have any young position players, and so it's like.
Yeah, they got VR.
But I mean, starting.
He's probably going. They think he's going to get the starting third base job this year.
Really?
That's what they're saying.
Wow. All I'll say is wow to that. But I was looking around baseball. There's a lot of young position players who are rumored to be available. Tell me if you'd like any of these guys. Personally, I think the Giants ought to take Crawford, and instead of putting him out shortstop every day, all day, all season, and just hoping that he's better when he's older, which is just illogical, they ought to just take Tyro and let him platoon Tyro and Crawford. Crawford as the lefty is going to get the lion's share of the ABs. They say they want to use Tyro in center anyway, and go get a second baseman. The Rockies are shopping Brendan Rodgers.
Oh, yeah. He's not
Brendan
bad.
Rodgers would be a nice player for the Giants. The Twins are shopping Max Kepler. Max Kepler, I'd feel a lot better about the Giants outfield if they had Max Kepler.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about Max Kepler.
I don't understand the Tyro Estrada experiment in center field. If you're happy with, does that say you're not happy with Yaz and
Yaz is not. Yaz at 220.
I know. Are they thinking maybe that Yaz and Slater will not be their guys to be not good if their bats fail? They want to stick Estrada out there and then bring up Isan Diaz to play second.
I just think that they want to make sure that they're covered in center, and they don't have very good coverage. So they want Estrada to try it out there.
I mean, center field's not the guy is not the position to experiment with.
Twins. I mean, the Twins just picked up Michael A. Taylor.
Rogers's? Sorry, bad joke.
What's that?
Sorry, it's getting late. Bad joke. It's just
no. The Twins picked up Michael Taylor, Michael A. Taylor, and they're saying they're going to move Kepler. So that's interesting. The other one, the Padres are going to move Trent Grisham, they say, or Hassan Kim, the Gold Glove infielder. I mean, both those guys. Grisham would be a phenomenal Giant. The Cardinals want to move Tyler O'Neill. That's kind of an interesting.
I like
one.
Tyler O'Neill.
Love to talk about how much he would bench press.
Oh man, that dude is
he's jacked. Orioles want to trade Jorge Mateo. I mean, if you want to get faster in the infield, Jorge Mateo didn't hit much this year, but the Orioles now have Gunnar Henderson at shortstop. They don't need Jorge Mateo. Rosenthal said they're shopping him. He's only 23. He might be one of the fastest guys in the entire big leagues. I mean, I'd be interested in that. The Yankees want to trade Gleyber Torres. I'd take Gleyber Torres, put him at second base. I think he might be one of the best hitters on the Giant team. The Pirates want to trade Brian Reynolds. Now, they want a lot for him, but guess what? This is one the Giants ought to be interested in because the Dodgers are the team that is likely to get Reynolds.
Yeah.
So you don't want that. The Diamondbacks are shopping Carson Kelly. That's an interesting one. And then Ahmed Rosario. They say Cleveland, the Guardians, may shop Ahmed Rosario. And Toronto may shop Santiago Espinal. I mean, there's some good young position players who could make the Giants very interesting. And most of these teams want young arms. It seems like the Giants have a lot of young arms in their system. I'm not, what if you could get a guy like Reynolds by trading Will Bednar in a deal to the Pirates?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't like any of those?
Bednar for
I'd be down
for Brian Reynolds.
But who else besides Bednar?
Well, I mean, you'd probably have to trade, maybe Luis Matos. You might have to trade Bednar and Hunter Bishop. You might have to trade.
Yeah.
I would might have to trade. Who knows?
I think
they're going to want something
three,
besides. But I'm
just
saying
3 or 4. I think they'd probably be looking at one of your top 1 or 2 or 3. At least Matos is, I think, third. They might want Luciano. I don't know.
I'm just saying what the Giants don't have this year at all, outside of Joey Bart, is they don't have any young position players, guys in their 20s. And that, I think, is a real problem.
I think you're going to see in the next year or two, this year's either going to go, they're going to surprise people and make a run at the wild card, or they're going to be a team that's in the 70 wins. I don't see this team being a 500 team like last year. I think they're either in the upper 80s or in the lower to mid 70s. I think the season really will tell itself within the first 2 months. They have a very tough
bet. I'd either bet the under, bet heavy money on the under, but then maybe sprinkle a little bit on Giants to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be something like that. Yeah, because everything goes right for them. They could be, and everybody does well and it's healthy, but it has the potential to really stink. I mean, really.
Bouncer says, you guys going to the Super Bowl? No. Sadly, we will not be at the Super Bowl. We are trying to work out a spring training trip, but no Super Bowl. One let's finish though here, guys, at 12:30 on the Super Bowl. It is Monday of Super Bowl week. I guess you could say that today is the beginning of the coverage. I didn't watch any of the media night. Did you guys watch any of that at all?
No.
Watching that Warrior game.
Do you have any feeling at all on this Monday for who's going to win this game on Sunday?
I like the Eagles.
Why?
I like the Eagles. I just think, there's
I'm not saying that you're wrong or anything. I'm just saying
I'll throw like a 5 to 10% free roll out there for Mahomes re-injuring that ankle. I think even though I don't think it's that big of a deal, I do think that's the kind of thing that not necessarily is going to knock him out of the game, but he could tweak it very easily. And I just think Eagles, although they played Gonzaga's schedule, I don't know. I always like to go with the team with the good O line, the good D line, and honestly, they're just a really physical team. I thought that the Eagles and the Niners were the two best teams. I was going to pick whoever won it to win the Super Bowl. It just sucks that the Niners didn't really get a fair shot, but yeah, I think the Eagles will take care of them. I think I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bunch of sacks on Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Well, I think they're going to. Cincinnati didn't really put any pressure. They didn't do any blitz packages on Mahomes. You would have thought they would have coming off of like a week off of his injury. I don't think Philadelphia makes that mistake. I think they come. Because the one thing Mahomes will do when he's healthy, he can escape pretty good. But if he's gimpy on that thing and they're coming at him, he's going to have to get like the Niners did to him in 19 in the Super Bowl.
Didn't you think he looked pretty good though last week?
He did look pretty good.
He did, but
I was shocked at how good he looked. I thought he was going to look bad. I thought when I watched it, I was like, wait a second, this guy has a high ankle sprain that's 1 week old.
The last run that he had was like, that was top speed. He doesn't get any faster than that. When he got hit late out of bounds, he sprinted. And the guy ran a slower 40 time than Mac Jones. It's not like he's a burner. And that's as fast as he goes. He looked totally fine.
I don't know. I think Cincinnati or KC's in trouble because they don't have how many receivers do they have that are healthy? Tony's out. Is Tony going to play?
I don't think Tony's going to play, but I think Juju's going to play.
And Pacheco is not a very good he's not very good pass blocking tight end running back. So they're probably going to have to keep McKinnon out there. McKinnon over receptions might be a good prop just because he'll probably be out there.
Only thing is, maybe it's I've got Niner bias, but I just think Kansas City, maybe I got too much respect for Kansas City because when the Niners play Kansas City, Chris Jones looks like
killer.
He makes Aaron Donald look bad, right? Chris Jones is awesome against the Niners, and it just seems like Kansas City just looks so good against the 49ers. I don't know. I'm going Kansas City. To me, I don't see Philly stopping Kelsey. I think Pacheco is really underrated. You're giving Andy Reid 2 weeks to prepare. And you got to think with all the people that Andy Reid knows in Philadelphia that this is just probably the biggest game of his life. The other reason I like the Chiefs have already experienced what it feels like to both win this game and to lose this game. And I think the contrast is got to be the most startling thing in the history of sports, to lose the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So I just think that they'll have proper motivation. And I'm a little concerned about can Kansas City stop Philadelphia's run game, but man, I can't doubt Chris Jones. And I love Nick Bolton and Willie Gay. I think if Willie Gay goes, I like their chances. And L'Jarius Sneed is also a key guy. Is he going to go? To me, if Willie Gay and L'Jarius Sneed don't go, I like Philly. But if Willie Sneed and L'Jarius Sneed do go, I'll take Kansas City.
Also, it sounds like kind of stupid basic analysis, but honestly, that freaking unstoppable 4th and 2 play that they can run, it's just frightening.
Oh, that little pitch pass, that shovel pass?
No, he's talking about the scrum.
Jalen Hurts.
Oh, what Philadelphia does, the
Yeah.
QB sneak, and they just it's crazy.
Yeah. And I feel like
can they move Jones on there?
Like, right now, my biggest
rugby.
Yeah, right now my biggest bet would probably be, like, in terms of a side, would be Eagles first half. And I think if the Eagles win the first half, I think they win the game. But I do agree with you, Lair, that, you know, if Kansas City punches first and Mahomes scores like right off the bat, maybe they go up like 10-0 or something, then all of a sudden I think all bets are off. I would start looking live for Kansas City.
What I expect to see Reed dialing up plays that get touchdowns for Kansas City, and then Kansas City's run D not being able to stop Philadelphia. And I think Philadelphia, so I kind of see, even though Philly's got a ton of defensive talent and the Chiefs have some incredible defensive players, I see a shootout.
Yeah.
I see a high scoring game. I think the Eagles are going to score you 30. I think it's going to, you know, I like a higher scoring game.
You know, interesting storyline I read.
Kelsey.
Has nothing to do with the players, but Sirianni was a coach with the Chiefs when Reed got the job. He was a holdover, and you know, he Reed let him go, and he brought his own guy in, and Reed or Sirianni said, "Yeah, I've had a chip on my shoulder. I still carry it." So it's kind of interesting.
I don't know. Andy Reid might eat that chip.
Hey guys, I'll tell you, you know, one other guy. We're talking a lot about NBA trades. I'll tell you the one guy that I would love to take because and he went off tonight. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh no, I was going to say Sadiq Bey.
No, Sadiq Bey. Outside of Sadiq Bey, I kind of like. I love the young kid for the Nets, Cam Thomas.
Oh, he's so good.
And tonight he had 47.
He had 47 tonight?
He had 47 tonight.
Wow.
In their loss.
He had 43 the other night.
Yeah, he's got past 2 games, he's got 91. He's clearly he reminds me a little bit of, like, I mean, this is older than Rye, you won't know this reference, but Andrew Toney, the Boston Strangler, who would pop for 40 off the bench for the Sixers in the 80s. Cam Thomas is a flat out awesome scorer, and he sits the bench, and I know he's young, but I mean, that's the kind of player that if the Nets want to move that guy, I'd be knocking on their door.
Dang, the Clippers have had a pretty good road trip East Coast. They beat the Celtics. They beat who'd they beat the other night?
You know, that's a team I know. Obviously,
the Knicks. They beat the Knicks, and then they beat the Nets here. So I'd be worried if they got Trae Young. I mean, obviously that's never going to happen, but that's a good team for, like, if Trae Young was to go somewhere. To the Clippers?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Clippers, if they make any kind of moves and get another score, who's the Clippers' big guard?
Zubac? I mean, they've John Wall.
Big guard, or
I mean, they're big. Yeah, I mean, they're guards. I mean, like, they got Wall and Denard.
I mean, they've got the Clippers have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. They got Terrence Mann, or not
Terrence.
Yeah, Terrence Mann.
Yeah,
Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann, the Florida State kid. He's there. He's really good. He's in the starting lineup. They have Batum. They have Powell, Nick Powell.
Covington.
They got Kennard. They got Reggie Jackson.
Yeah,
I mean, they're good defensively. Moses Brown's pretty good defensively.
Reggie Jackson, yeah. Batum hit that big
Reggie
shot.
Jackson, man, he played great in the playoffs last year.
Nicholas Batum hit that big 3-point shot at the buzzer to put the game into overtime against.
See, they don't have a point guard. That's the deal. That's why they wanted Kyrie.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of glad Kyrie didn't go to the Clippers.
I know.
Because I think the Clippers with Kyrie might have been able to get out of the West.
That would have been bad for the Warriors, yeah, because teaming them back up with Ty Lue and everything too. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting because I think the Clippers will probably try and make some kind of move this week. And
we should definitely plan a day. I don't know if there's a Warriors game Thursday, but we should do
No, they play Wednesday.
They play Wednesday
night.
against Portland in Portland, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
then they don't play again until Saturday against the Lakers.
I'd be down for a trade deadline pod, or just like if the Warriors make a move, be ready.
Yeah, what time?
We'll definitely do one if the Warriors
We
make
could
a
do
move.
you could do actually a live stream
Like up to the deadline.
like up to the deadline. Let me see what time the trade deadline is.
Probably noon.
Noon or 1.
Let me see. It's
I think
usually
it's 1 o'clock. I think it's 1
usually-
o'clock Pacific. I think it's 4 o'clock Eastern. By the way, we have 13,231 subscribers right now. So if you're in the chat and you've yet to subscribe, please hit like and subscribe and follow the channel. But 13,231 subs. We just passed 13,000 yesterday or Monday.
Yeah, it is. It is
Sunday. Yeah. Yesterday,
noon
yesterday
Thursday.
13,000. Today 13,231.
By the way, I can't wait to go crazy. We never got to really do March Madness stuff last year because it kind of just started as March Madness ended. But
right,
that'll be fun. We should do a Krueg show bracket league and just.
Well, you know what I was thinking? Maybe we could do a little spring training combination.
Yes.
NCAA tournament.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And maybe we could do maybe I was thinking part of our spring training trip is maybe we do the tour and roll through Vegas.
Oh, let's do it.
You know what I mean? And then hit spring training for 4 or 5 days and then hit Vegas for Sweet 16 or something. What's the tournament? When's the tournament? Is it jive with spring training?
it usually starts in mid March. Let me see. When is
WCC championship might be happening at the same time we're driving around.
GTC Real says, Larry, you had 5K last year. Wow. No, last year we had nothing. The channel's only 10 months old. We started the channel in March and it's now 11 months, I guess. 11 months. We're coming up on we're 11 months in. So
I think
a year ago we had 0.
20K by the time the Warriors win the championship, we thinking? Or 25?
Yeah, I'm thinking 20K. Well, I'm thinking if we go to spring training we do some Giants stuff, we might be able to get some, some Giants things.
March 14th, the first Tuesday, the first 4 play for those games. And then
March 14th is the first is Thursday.
And then Thursday's the big game. Thursday, all the games, they have
Thursday's what?
Thursday
March
and Friday they play 32 games.
It just sounds so fun to just be live while all the games are going on and just screaming and yelling about our bets. And
that's kind of towards the end of spring training, isn't it?
The final spring game in Arizona.
Arizona's like the 24th, right?
I've got it right here. It's the 25th. Yeah.
All right.
Larsard 49 says, Larry, what made you start your channel? I've been talking about having a channel for the last 5 years, and I just never really stepped up and did it. But
there's going to be some other Bay Area sports media personalities that are starting channels within the next 8 months.
I'll say this, man. It's a lot of fun, and you can produce your own content, and you can have your own live streams, and it's kind of like we're doing a TV show.
Yeah.
We're doing some TV. I had a guy the other day at Costco, and I'm sitting in my car doing an interview with Jody Mack on CBS Radio, right? And so I'm doing the interview with Jody Mack and at Costco, and there's a guy pulls up, and he's like one car over. He's sitting right there, and he starts pointing at me. He starts smiling, and I'm like, "What the heck's going on? Why is he pointing at me? Why is he smiling?" You. So he gets out of the car with his wife. They get in, I'm still talking to Jody Mack. So I'm staying in the car. So now I finished the interview. He's in Costco. I'm walking around. I'm in that really cold room with the all the veggies are.
The veggies. Oh yeah. The salads and
the salad and the mushrooms and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a guy goes, Krueg. And it's the same guy he's like, I saw you in the car, man. Oh man. Huge fan. And I thought he was going to say, love John KMBR, or hey, a big fan of the game. And he's like, dude, and then he goes like this. He pauses and he's like, and Danny and Rye, Cy. and he starts talking about our live stream and our Krueg show channel, and I'm like, oh my god, dude. And he's like, oh yeah, this is my wife. He's like, this guy's the best, man. He's like, we'll get the. So
he's like, what do you got in your cart there? What kind of shopping is there?
And it's like he recognized me from the parking lot through the car windshield. It was raining. I had the windshield wipers going. I'm like, dude, how'd you recognize me? He's like, oh, I don't know. I've seen you on that show. It's like, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just the fact is that like when we take, and like we didn't do it tonight, but maybe I'll do it later this week. I really love taking the video calls.
Yeah.
Because like video calls are kind of
a good one for it.
They're really interesting, and the people are really interesting, and they're all around the country. And you can kind of see their background. And I don't know, it's weird. It's like, it's different. Like when you take a call in radio on a radio show, you don't really connect with that person. But like when you take a video call on a YouTube live stream, I kind of feel like we're right in the living room of all these people, and it's very personal. So I like it a lot more. Bouncer says, where can I get a Krueg Show t-shirt? Yeah, just DM me your name and address. I've got them. I've been saying I'm going to get them out. I will get them out tomorrow. I've got the envelopes. I'm going to be sending them out. So yeah, contact me any way you can. DM me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, in the chats here, in the comments, whatever, and just tell me you want one, what you want, and give me your address, and I'll mail one to you. They're $25 plus shipping. I don't know exactly what the shipping is going to be, but I think it's roughly $5. So they're going to be roughly $30. But they're good shirts, and they're cool, and we appreciate you supporting the show. We don't make any money on the shirts, of course, but it is cool that a bunch of people want them, and I'm really excited to get them out there. So if you want a Krueg Show t-shirt, contact me, get me your information, and then you can Venmo me the money and I'll send it to you. Guys, final thought. I mean, good stuff tonight. We hit some topics I didn't want to hit necessarily, which kind of pissed me off, but what can I say? I'm not going to try to silence people either. So it's not my thing. You guys know that, but you got a final thought on the night? Warriors get an incredible win. Klay got a great night for Klay. Giants getting ready for camp. Niners kept Chris Kocherik. It's Super Bowl week. NBA trade deadline approaching. You guys got a final thought before we bolt for the door?
My final thought is that I can't believe I'm always astounded every year when it happens. I never think I'm going to be able to flip the switch and go right into basketball. It's already happened. I'm in with basketball. Obviously I still am all about the football offseason, but I'm in. I've bought in. I'm fully on the Warriors bandwagon. I now care about every little tiny thing like I made fun of people for doing during the Niners season. I'm there. I'm in college basketball. I'm excited. I'm stoked for the freaking baseball season to start. I can't wait for spring training, and onward and upward.
Awesome. Yeah. That is good to hear, Rye, that you're back on the bandwagon with the Warriors. I think they're gonna be fine. As I've been saying, I think they're gonna turn it up a notch, and we'll see the Warriors again. Guys, they said they wanted to win it all. I believe them. I think they'll turn up that switch. And then one last thing in the chat, I've noticed a guy by the name of San Francisco Giants Mania. Is he new into the chat?
Is he a maniac?
New? Yeah. He doesn't know me too well. Every comment has been towards me has been kind of taking a shot. Okay, San Francisco Giants Mania.
I don't see him. Where's
he? I don't know if he's still on there or not, but
he's taking shots at you.
He's like, "Stop, Dan, stop!" Or
I always really enjoyed that guy.
Yeah, you like that guy, Larry. Yeah, I think he's a newbie, but which is good. Welcome,
welcome, welcome,
welcome, you little
asshole, you
little punk. Yeah,
welcome.
No, hey, he's.
I hate you, and if you hate me, fuck off.
He doesn't know me yet.
He doesn't appreciate the beauty of Dan Coachemilio.
Yeah, he doesn't know me. And he doesn't know that I'm.
You're a made man.
One of the bigger Giants guys out there.
Fish and Chips says he loves you, Dan. He loves you.
I love this one. That's awesome.
We got this one.
We listen to you here in New York City every day. Hit the likes, guys.
Yeah, that's very cool. I saw that one as well. Yafi. That's very cool that you're listening in the Big Apple. That's very, very cool. What else? We had one more in here that I saw. Oh, David Hasselhoff. He says, where do I pay for the shirt, Krueg? We're just gonna Venmo. I'll just give you guys my Venmo and you can Venmo me your money. But yeah, as far as you just tell me, David Hasselhoff, like follow me on Twitter at SportsLarryK. Tell me you want to get a shirt, and I'll follow you back if I have to, and then I'll get your information, your address, whatever, and I'll just mail it to you. And then you can just Venmo me.
All right. Wow, it's 10-2 here. I gotta get going. Man.
Kenny, what are you gonna have? You haven't eaten anything in this show, I don't think.
No.
Are you okay?
I had a banana at the break.
Okay, we'll play Frank Red out.
Oh, you know what?
Right
I didn't get my. I'll have to tell you the recipe Friday when we do the show Wednesday night. I'll give you the pulled pork recipe. I'll
Are
run
you
that
doing
down.
16 pounds?
I'm going to do 8.
Oh, I say we do some more food. We should do like one more food related thing where maybe we draft starting nines.
Hey, right. Real quick, as a closer, put my candy commercial on. I sent to you the other day.
Oh,
you know what we could also do?
You remember that?
Maybe we should do a live stream, Super Bowl preview show at the end of the week, and then we can at that time we can rank Super Bowl Sunday food. Like,
yes.
You know, like what's
turn on your airdrop, Ryan. Turn on your airdrop.
I've got it. All
right, here's Frank. We'll play us out with Frank, and then you're gonna play it at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks to everybody. Hit like and subscribe. Love everybody, and thanks to Pig in a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the show.
Pig in a Pickle, baby.
He didn't mince words, just sum the lyrics to the best song he ever heard. All his hopes and dreams had turned to despair, but what he was facing, there was no way to prepare. This came from a man who thought his life was ending. In his mind, it was serious. There was no pretending. He checked the clock on the wall before he said his goodbyes. Emitting tears, he has gone. See back into his eyes. He was old in life. There'll be no encore. He raised his hands to the heavens, put his knees on the floor. Don't have to be a genius to know he'd been blessed. He said he'd pay it forward and always do his best. At that moment, what he's been searching for became clear. He was here to serve those who living in fear. With his newfound enlightenment in the wind at his back, he's prepared to live out his life's final act. He was a rich man now. He had purpose in life. And to capture this feeling, you don't pay a price. Before we set up on his own, he made a pledge to get some wins and live his life against the grain to the bitter end. You miss a shot at life. You think there's nothing else for you to do. This ain't a tragedy, son. I know I've seen a few. You're not responsible for somebody else's thrill. Your integrity's intact and you're still trying to climb the hill. I was a lonely man. I never thought it would come true. But sometimes in life, all you have are your dreams and you. Hey, that's when you realize that life ain't standing still.
Wait, okay, here I got it.
Larry, right? Or should I say, hey, Larry, I just found some new candy bars. Was at the store, found a Kit Kat birthday cake flavor. And of course, Reese's with the Super Bowl football-shaped Reese's. I've never tried birthday cake, Kit Kat. I'm about ready to take a bite. Let's see how it is. We'll just take a little piece since I've still got dinner. Let's see how this is. Hey, that's pretty good. New favorite. Kit Kat birthday cake. Get you some.
Kit Kat is not sponsoring this, but that is hilarious.
By the way, people want to know what the song is. That was Frank Red's song. Do we put that up there?
Yeah. Make you feel Frank Red on YouTube.
Go to Frank Red on YouTube with no space.
Hey,
There you go.
Pasquale.
All right, guys, good stuff.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one.